Huddlestone.
What is up?
Is up, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Friday. That means it's time for some more Friday night shenanigans. We were able to get everybody in the house tonight, so we are not skipping out on this episode. We've got a decent amount of shit to talk about tonight. We're basically freaking midsummer fishing at this point.
Oh, yeah.
It's full swing. The pattern's full swing.
What's up, Dan? What's up, Zach?
What's up, boys? Zach, how you feeling, brother? Hope you're starting to feel better, man. The pattern is different. The pattern is different south than it. I mean, I feel like it's kind of like same business on the flats.
I mean, yeah,
but different in the GP.
Well, there's no grass in the GP. Well, there's
exactly.
There's very little.
Exactly.
Grass.
So that's what I mean. It's like kind of like same business on the flats, but it's like different business.
Yeah, things have definitely been a little different on the GP this year.
I was going to ask you guys about that because I haven't been on the gunpowder since the solstice. Has anyone seen any grass like where it's supposed to be or not really? Is it same situation pretty much as last year?
I was out the other night and I scanned that entire flat inside the bridge, and there's not a speck of grass on it.
That's awful. That's terrible.
From the channel to the duck blind, there's no grass.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I mean, it just means that fish are going to be in. It's just less places to find them.
What's up, Cody?
Which is, I guess, a blessing and a curse.
I don't think it's coming in either.
No, it'll be there by now.
That's what I mean. Like, there's grass there, but it's not topped, and it's not thick. It's very spotty.
There's grass.
Yeah,
there's grass.
It's like I said, it's not a lot of it.
There's not a lot of it. No. Unless you go to Dundee, then there's ass tons of grass.
Yeah, but what caught? And we've talked about this so many times. I almost feel like we're beating it like a dead horse at this point. But like, what is causing Dundee to have grass, but not the GP to have grass? Now it is facing differently, correct? It's facing differently.
It faces differently, but I think a lot.
Doesn't
I really
get as much
think
runoff either.
That's the big. That's a big
whether
thing.
it's from construction or just we got a big. Like, I know last year or 2 years ago when we had that big storm, it ripped a lot of that milfoil out that was in the big gunpowder. Mm-hmm. I mean, the big gunpowder was loaded with milfoil 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was choked.
And that big storm came through and it ripped it out. It didn't die off. It ripped it out. I mean, that's what happens. It happened on Conowingo a few
2021
7 years ago.
Well, that was 2018 when they had the tropical storm.
Yes.
And then again in 2021 in like September.
And the milfoil up there still hasn't came back as like it was back then.
No, there's some, but not a lot. It's there, but you got to look for it.
There were fields of milfoil that year.
Yes, I remember that. Yep.
I mean, that was the year I won my first Open tournament out of the champion.
Hey, it's Megan.
Up on the lake.
Yep.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Megan on here for a hot
June
minute.
16th.
Record. Thanks for getting on here and reminded me, Megan.
Loaded with milfoil, yes. Milf oil.
Well, not only is it milfoil,
God, I love milfoil.
Happy
it's
4th, buddy.
Asian
Thank you.
milfoil.
I do love milfoil.
I like it. Wait, what? Yeah.
That's what it's Asian milfoil.
That's actually Eurasian, but
Well, it's just more exotic. Works for me.
milf life.
Yes. Anyway, before we go down that rabbit hole, but yeah, I don't know.
What was the funny thing we used to say when we were kids about the planet Uranus?
It's a planet.
No, but there was some funny saying that I remember kids would say.
Just the
but
whole
I can't
thing's
remember
funny.
it
It's
now.
called Uranus.
I know, but there was something funny about Uranus.
There is something funny about Uranus.
Yeah.
Is that the joke? Is that the whole joke?
Yes.
No,
Pretty
well,
well.
yeah,
That's the
but
general.
no.
That's the general gist of the joke.
Yeah,
but I don't remember exactly.
Yeah,
what
I
it was.
can't remember it either.
But yeah, I mean, it's so I think when you had all that milfoil ripped out like that, it takes years for it to come back. Like I said, Conowingo from 2018, it's still not anywhere close to where it was.
I remember there was a lot of grass
6 years ago.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of grass well south of Peach Bottom during those times. Like the
Oh yeah,
like right across the river from Broad Creek, that whole area was a huge
right,
grass flat.
right below Cadillac Rock.
Yep, and that's all gone. Never seen grass there since. I mean,
There's some there,
a
but
basketball sized patch here and there.
there was some there last year, but not the thick grass. Like I mean, it was 6 or 7 years ago. It was so thick there, like you couldn't get a trolling motor through it. Like you couldn't run a tractor bait through it. Like it was thick.
Right.
It will be back, but when will it be back?
Yeah, I mean, it takes years for it. I mean,
Cycles. Everything's like cycles.
Well, there used to be tons of grass sitting out in front of 5-hole too. Used to be matted grass in front of that, and that's been I haven't seen a blade of grass there for quite some time.
The cycle, yeah, and you see it a lot more on Conowingo with the cycles because you can tell by the fish catches when you start seeing. Like, you can tell when the grass goes when you start seeing less largemouth bags and more smallmouth bags.
Right.
As far as your winning bags.
Right.
Where it used to be, 7 or 8 years ago, like, you needed a largemouth to win. Mm-hmm. Like, if you could get, like, that you had to have at least a mixed bag to win, if not all largemouth. I mean, we had a club tournament up there, or our club open up there in... like crap conditions, like the wind's howling, and this was like 6
That's right.
years
I
ago.
forgot that you guys used to have opens up there too back in the day.
And that was, that was one with like 19 pounds of largemouth, and it was like the worst possible condition. Like the wind is blowing, it's cold. I mean, cold. It was in November. We had that tournament in the first week in November. And 19 pounds of largemouth. Right. You will not see in November a bag of largemouth winning a tournament up there. In the last 5 years.
No. Not
in November.
The 20s that came out of there last November were mixed, but I don't know. I think it was maybe 1 or 2 smallmouth in the bag. I can't remember. But the same guys had 20 back-to-back weeks in the last 2 tournaments of the Open Series. No, I'm sorry. It was like the 2 tournaments back to back in November, like 2 weekends back to back. They had 20 pounds mixed bags with anchor by 5 pound largemouth. But you're right. Is that?
But the one tournament up there that Andrew and Michael won was all smallmouth.
Mm-hmm. And that was later in the year.
19 pounds of smallmouth.
That was like in October. It's interesting.
When you get later in the year,
interesting.
Those smallmouth fatten up, and there's a lot more smallmouth up there than largemouth, and
for sure. And that's what I've been. So I talk to Miles like every day, and we're always discussing like, do we need to go look for smallmouth? And I'm like, we don't need to go look for smallmouth until the smallmouth become the fish you want to catch. And like, let's be honest, if you want to win the tournament, you better be on 4 pounders.
Like that fish, that one that I caught up there Sunday was long.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, it was a long fish, and it was not. it was solid. It wasn't skinny, but it wasn't. It wasn't a big fat smallmouth like you get in the fall.
Oh, right.
Once they start pounding those schools of shad and they get real fat.
Right.
That would have been a 4.5.
But that's the thing. That's the thing is the largemouth right now. At least the ones we've been catching they're not fat, but they're thick. You know what I mean? They're not like these fish you catch pre-spawn, but they're stocky fish. So it's like, I don't care about a smallmouth right now. I just want to catch largemouth because that's what's going to win. And I will say, I think that fishery is getting better and better every year. And
I'll show you average size measuring.
The
2.5 inches.
The last year, it was taking like almost 18 pounds to win up until like August. Which for that place is crazy.
The first 2 was over 20.
Was it over 20 last year?
Yeah.
Damn. I remember it being like in the 18, like the high teens. I don't remember 20.
The first two were over 20.
Wow.
Because I had the first one, I had a TBF tournament the same day. That was when we had the Open, or the Open was the next day. Yeah, because the Open was on Sunday. We were on Saturday. The Fishers and Men took 21 to win. And then it took 20. It took 20, like 20.6 to win the Open the next day.
Were they all largemouth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy how good the largemouth fishing was. I mean, and it was the same people. It was the same team that caught them both tournaments. Like, they found them, and they found them schooled up, and they were able to catch them.
So they won Fishers and Men and said, "Well, let's come out tomorrow."
No. The first 2 Opens.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
They were like back-to-back weekends.
I remember that. Yeah.
Do me a favor, everybody. Hit the like and hit the share button for us. We appreciate it.
That were Dave's buddies.
Oh, yeah. Dude, they came in second this last tournament. They had 17 they had 17 and a quarter almost. I think for the first time in my life, I actually thought I had less than what I had.
The first.
I know, right? So we were coming in. Well, you know how it is.
Because it's Conowingo.
Right. That's how it is.
Big Eye Tony.
Right.
Dude, those fish carry more weight up there than you think. Like, I don't know why.
Well,
so we're
you're
coming
just
in.
used to you're used to them being small.
Right.
So like they're just hard to judge.
Right.
You're not used to catching that style of fish. Lake fish, you know, if you look at a lake fish compared to like our tidal river fish, look at how thick a tidal, like a solid, like a 3.5 pound tidal fish, like it's this wide across the back.
Oh yeah.
Like they're just thick. Where those lake fish, you know, they're really skinny across the back, but they're a little longer and they're and they're deep. So it's a little hard to. Anna's the same way, so it makes it a little hard to judge the weight.
Right.
I mean, me and Frank caught fish on Anna this year that when we put them in the net, we're like, dude, that's a 6-pounder.
I'll tell you
nope,
what,
4.5.
Every fish I caught out on the flats is just healthy, man.
Stupid.
They're so
stupid.
healthy, dude. It is stupid how many fish are out there right now.
Stupid.
It is fishing unreal. It is definitely going to be a giant learning curve, learning how to fish the flats.
There's been a 5+ pounder caught on my boat every time that I've been out there for the last month. Like, you don't go out there and not catch a 5.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
At least one. Like, you'll catch. You're going to catch at least 1 5.
I had like a heavy 3, light 4. That was the biggest one I've had out there so far. I haven't had any 5s hit. That being said, though, I haven't.
Cody, that would be a rattle trap.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
That is my number one favorite bait to throw for rockfish.
The grass out there is crazy. Being able to diagnose what the fish are holding to, I think, is all a big part of the game right now, because everything out there looks it looks the same. So you really just kind of like, I feel like you're almost just like, you're running to one spot, you're trolling all around, and you're looking at the differences. You're looking at your graph, and you're looking at, because when you're out in the middle of a grass flat, what I'm noticing is the one of the subtle differences, obviously, other than the different types of grass, is swings in your depth.
Well, yeah,
and that's what makes a big difference out on the flats too, and it's something to pay attention to, is swings in depth. Now, I don't know anything about where or how to do that other than looking on the graph and where it tells you it's deeper, but like, that's it.
There's a lot of nuances to grass fishing that a lot of people just think, oh, you just go out in the grass and you start fishing. Like, that doesn't work.
No.
And I'm not going to get into a lot of that because my best friend will kill me if I let that stuff go. But just know that
basics of grass fishing.
No.
The nuances of fishing the flats.
nuances of fishing the flats and being able to find fish out there.
Oh wow.
You just have to. You have to figure out how fish hold. It's a different style of fishing than what you're used to. You know, you're used to fishing, the GP, and the GP fish is complete. Even when there's grass on the GP, it's completely different because there's not. We have 50 acres of grass when there's good grass, right?
Up there, there's 5,000.
5,000 acres of grass up there. So it makes it really, it makes it a lot harder. It's definitely a different style of fishing. But yeah, I mean, it's fun, and you catch big fish, and you can throw frogs.
I know, but frogs. Like, you're looking for swings, you're looking for channels, you're looking for different swings in depth, different types of grass, current, lots of different factors in fishing the flats.
Where's your cutter topper offer?
In the boat.
The quicker.
It's in the boat.
That's going to be a pain in the ass for me to go get.
Then don't go get it.
Give me that water bottle, real quick. Spittoon break. Be right back.
You could just pop your thumb through the top of the can.
But it doesn't work that well. I cut my damn finger last time.
You can put it in your shirt, like amateur.
I mean, I feel like you can talk about fishing out in Havertys without telling people where to go. Like, and
It's not about where to go. It's about figuring out the patterns and figuring out. I've spent
You can tell somebody where to go. Like that doesn't mean they're going to be there.
I've spent over
a
decade, like I was telling you earlier. I've spent over a decade fishing up there, and there's things that I'm still learning about fishing up there, and I've put in a lot of time. And if you go into the patterns of how to fish up there, you'll learn those spots that become community very quickly.
It's already all community.
It's not.
Yeah, it's pretty community.
It's not community like the middle. Okay, so the middle ditch that everybody fishes during the spawn. That's community. You go out there in May and there's going to be 100 boats in there. Literally 100 boats. That's community.
Or on the back channel, anywhere.
Or the back
that.
channel,
It's
like the
all
back channel
community.
flat. When you have spots that you can fish that only 3 or 4 other guys know about, like that is where you're gonna catch your fish.
I don't know that there's a spot on the flats where you and only 4 other people know about
It's
it.
not.
So it's not. It doesn't work that way. So
It's not necessarily that they don't know about it, but if they don't know about it right now,
yeah, if they don't know the fish are there right now,
that's
Right.
if they're if you start talking about stuff like that, it's going to turn to I need to go check this spot out then,
Right.
And then that spot becomes 20 boats fishing it, and it's not good anymore,
Right.
Because
So-
you can't share those fish with 20 boats.
I think what it is, and I don't think there's ever, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's ever one spot on the flats where you're going to go pull up and catch 25, 26 pounds consistently. You may be able to do it once or twice.
No.
But I think the guys that are super dialed in, that put their time in more than anybody else, have 3 to 5 spots that they can go and hit, and they know there's a good fish on every single one of them.
And they're different spots every week. That's
Yes.
the
Yeah.
thing.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yep.
Because the guys that go out there and they that are out there 2, 3, 4 times a week are able to those fish move a lot.
And that's what it takes. That's what it
they're
takes.
able to know where those fish are, where they're moving to, and they have those spots that they can run to. Like, okay, they're not here. I'm going here. I'm going here. I'm going here. They're going to be in one of these spots. And being able to keep up with the movement of those fish is huge.
Yep.
right now I'm just learning how to
Navigate.
drive on the flats. How to
Just
what?
learn how to navigate.
You just
Yeah, I'm just
send
trying
it.
to learn how to navigate.
You just
So,
send it. That's all you can. That's what
Essentially,
you
yeah.
Dude, there's
That's
so
kind of
many-
what I'm just looking on the graphs and looking for like low spots in the water and just trying to.
From what I heard from somebody who was out Sunday, when that tide was blowing, we had that big north wind on Sunday. I remember it was ripping, so like the flats were dry. There are so many logs out there that it's scary.
do. Oh, I'm sure.
And I'm one I am one that I will just send it across the.
But here's the
flats,
thing,
even
though,
if
right?
you-
Like,
but-
just because the log is on the flats doesn't mean you're going to hit it. It just means that it's there. It may. No. But
there's a possibility of
if it's got a foot of water on top of it, you're not going to hit it. You know what I mean? Like that.
if it's got a foot of water on top of it, you can probably still hit it.
It depends on your boat, I guess, and your setup. But like, if you're okay, maybe let's say 2 feet.
But if it's got like 2 feet of water over top of it, yeah, you're gonna run over. Just like the log that I hit in the gunpowder the other day. On a normal tide, that area's got 2 feet of water on it. We probably run over that log all the time.
Yeah.
But the tide was super blown out, and I ran through there and I hit it.
Oh,
I've ran that exact track probably 500 times.
How was the last Thursday nighter? I was at the St. Lawrence, so I didn't fish it. It looked like it was a little tough.
I sucked.
Did you?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I fished the
I found
flats.
fish. I found good fish in the gunpowder, and I don't know if it was when I found them, the wind had the tide. That was the day that I busted my skate.
Oh, so the tide was blown
The
out.
tide was real blown out,
They moved them around.
and I think with the water being higher, it moved them a little bit. I had 10 pounds for a 3, so like I had good fish like in practice, and well, I caught 2 for 6.5, and I shook off another one on a frog.
Sure.
Like I just didn't set the hook. And the second one I only caught because I thought I missed a snakehead, and I fired my frog and I know it was a snakehead, and I fired my frog back in there to catch a snakehead. As soon as my frog hits the water, boom! Like I think I have set the hook. I'm like, got the snakehead. No, it was a 3.5 pounder.
Nice.
I was like, damn it. But anyway,
I think
but
I'm
yeah,
gonna
it
go
was
out there Monday. I haven't been out there yet since the solstice. The last time I fished the gunpowder.
It was a little tough. The tide sucked. It was a terrible tide.
Is the water still like super nasty?
I feel like I'm not trying to be like the negative Nancy here, but it feels like the tide always sucks. Right?
No,
the solstice and like
the tide did suck during the solstice.
Tournaments after the
tide sucked ass during the solstice, dude.
Didn't suck where I was at.
It sucked where I was
because they were chomping.
What'd you weigh?
I had almost 9.
Okay.
Should have had a huge bag, but we missed 2 giants.
When me and Chad pulled up to the spot and there was no water moving, I was like, "Well, this sucks. This is not good."
So last night, or the last Thursday, we had low tide at like 7:30, but
and
it
just
didn't
never
like
came back in, or it was low when we got there and it stayed low.
It never. The water wasn't really moving. Like it was a low tide, but the water wasn't really moving. So it was kind of like the tide was kind of stalled out. So it was low, but like you didn't have like that good moving water.
Right.
Oh, at least where I was.
I mean, I like low water on the gunpowder. Honestly, prefer it.
Me too. But
it's got to be doing something.
It seemed to suck.
Yeah.
The other day I was out there and it was blowing hard to the north.
Yeah.
And it was just
to the north or from the north.
It was blowing to the north, so
from the south, so up the bay.
From the south, up the bay, and it was miserable out there trying to fish it. It wasn't like rough or anything like on the flats. Like everything was just blown to one direction, and which made me think as I was out there for a while, I probably should have ran a little bit farther north than where I was.
Well, that affects your tide too. It's like a strong wind will keep a tide in or blow it in further or keep it out or blow it out quicker, and especially places like the gunpowder, that affects it a lot. Like you could have a normal tide even in Dundee, and then you could have a shitty tide in Joppatown because there's smaller areas with water. You know what I mean? Like the tide is affected so much in the canals because it's a small area. That's why you get so much current out of there. So that's why
What's up, Miles?
I don't know.
Miles saw me in Bel Air today because I was getting coffee on Main Street. I get a random text that says, "I see you." I'm like, I am oblivious.
Did you not have his number saved?
No, I knew it was.
Oh. It would have been nice if that was like a hot girl.
See him.
You know what I mean? That'd be nice.
Well, I was with my wife, so probably not.
Yeah, true. That wouldn't be nice.
But yeah, it's...
What's up, Brian?
There's a lot of things that affect your bite, and there's so many variables that you have to process to be able to catch them. Whether it be the gunpowder or the flats, or literally any body of water that you're in.
Right.
And yes, to answer your question, the water looks like doo doo.
Great. Cool. Awesome.
Or it did. When was I out? I was out Tuesday, and it was still dirty from. We had all that. It was from all that wind. It's been dirty for the last week from all that wind that we had. I mean, it wasn't even from rain. The day that I broke my skeg, we hadn't had rain in a week and a half, and the water was just dirty everywhere because the wind had been blowing 30 mile an hour for the last 2 days. Mm-hmm. And that's one of those things that a lot of you think, oh, there's no rain, it hasn't rained in 2 weeks, the water, gonna have nice clean water. Well, not when the wind's been blowing 30 miles an hour and the average depth is 4 feet. You
know what I feel like we haven't talked about, not to change the subject, because I do want to get into St. Lawrence and the Open that Miles and I won a couple weeks ago. The Forbidden Zone. Has it been on the map at all?
I haven't been back there.
Nope.
I haven't been back there since April.
I haven't been there.
April was the last time I was in there.
I haven't been back there.
I don't want to go there.
I think Kyle went back there. Kyle Blarney went back there.
There's fish. Week. There's always fish there. There's never not fish.
Oh yeah, there's always fish back there. Always. Hey, did you see? I'm sure he's probably not watching, but Herb got the big screen, the NBT.
Yeah.
Dude, it is crazy. It looks like
sick.
So I was joking with him when I saw it when we were launching for the Wingo tournament.
It's got like the 18-inch screen.
It's like 22, I think, or something.
Does he have the big one or the smaller one?
I don't remember, but it's massive.
Imagine having that computer.
I think they're 23 and
19.
I don't know which one he might have the big one. Honestly, I can't remember. But I was joking with him. I said, "Damn, Herb, how much would you lose 5 miles an hour on your boat?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Holy shit!" Because it's a windsock. You know what I mean? It's a reverse spoiler. Like, it literally is a reverse spoiler.
Yeah.
Miles says 22. I think it's 22. Maybe it's 22 and 26.
I thought it was 22 and 18, but
It's like having a freaking sail in the front of your boat while
It
you're
is.
trying to propel forward.
And it definitely, I'm sure it makes a
You'd
huge
like be
difference.
able to turn it like vertical or like sideways, so it's just like more aerodynamic.
But like if it matches his fishing style. Like he's a live scope. He's really good with live scope. He catches small. Herb can go up there any day of the week and catch 15, 16 pounds of smallmouth on that lake consistently, which he's probably the best smallmouth fisherman consistently on that lake. So for him, yeah, it makes sense. Go get all
16,
the shit.
18, and 22.
Okay, so there's 3. Okay, I didn't know that. Wow.
Humana.
I just pulled their website up. So yeah, 16, 18, and 22. But yeah,
Now,
that
were
22.
these specifically made just for live scope?
So they're not even a.
It's not even a
unit.
fish finder. It's just a screen.
It mirror. So you have to run a certain series Garmin, and it essentially mirrors the screen of your Garmin.
Does it not work with Lowrance
Does not.
or
Only-
Humminbird?
Only works with Garmin.
Really? That's interesting. Oh, you would think for something like that they would make it for all the.
8610 or higher, which is a $3,500 unit.
So mine I think is the 106 probably wouldn't work with that.
Does not work.
Interesting. Okay.
So you have to. So the Echo Map series does not work with it. It's not compatible with the Echo Map series. It has to be the GPS Map series. I've seen that. Skeet Reese did that at the Classic one year. He had it on his Lowrance. The last year that they fished the Classic in Knoxville.
Which one of the pros was it that like was streaming football off of his phone?
That was one of the
his
Shryox.
12-inch units.
That was Fletcher Shyrock.
Yeah,
Shryock.
he had literally had football in one of his units while I was up, while I was fishing up front. I was like, all right, like.
So Skeet Reese was streaming the Bassmaster Classic weigh-in as he was pulling in on his boat, like he's in his boat, like going to weigh in. He had it on his screen.
That's cool.
It's pretty sick.
That's the only thing, like, and it's such a stupid complaint, but that's my only complaint about Humminbird, right? So with Lowrance, and I've seen it a couple times, when like you put your Lowrance in sleep mode, like the screen will flash and it'll either say Lowrance or it'll say like Ranger Boats or whatever boat brand. I'm like, dude, that's sick. Can't do it with Humminbird at all. Like, damn it.
That's such a pointless little.
But it's so cool though. Like it's awesome. Like, could you imagine if my Humminbirds, like my giant ass Humminbird right here, just flashed Ranger Boats?
Said
Like,
bullet.
Why though?
or Bullet, yeah.
Yeah,
Just because it's cool.
I don't.
Dude, half the shit we do is just because it's cool. Come on.
I don't.
Why would I wrap the Bullet other than because it's cool?
Because it looks like doo doo.
Well, it does. Yeah, it does look like shit.
Because it looks like dog shit. That's what.
Because somebody rattle canned it.
Dude. Whoever
Is
owned
it rattle can?
it's held together by silicone and zip
Dreams.
ties, and
And that's what you want to do 90 miles an hour in?
that's why it's a JCS Marine. Because I don't want to do 90 miles an hour in that thing right now.
Adam will not tell us the state of the boat.
That's because I haven't started working on it yet.
The same as it was when it went.
Last time I was talking to him on here last week, I was like, yeah, how's the boat going? He's like, that's top secret. I was like, right on.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they have started on it, and whatever. But like when I was up there, I told them guys, they're like, "What's your timeline?" I said, "My timeline is whatever you guys." I am in no rush. I have a boat that's perfectly usable.
Whenever I sell the Ranger.
What that's going to be this year, dude. I was thinking about that. That's going to be such a sad day when I finally sell that.
Wait
boat.
till the spring.
Yeah, probably. That's going to be a sad day. I love that boat. It's been a great.
We should
boat.
probably do like a package deal. Mine can go with it.
Either going to sell it early fall, or like early spring.
Yeah.
No, but dead serious. I need help figuring out what prop I need to put on this boat now.
What do you have on it now?
It's just it's a Tempest 23 pitch.
Try 24.
No.
Lou had the problem, the same issue as I did, and I can't remember what his original prop was, but they went to a 4-blade 21 pitch.
4-blade is better for bow lift, for sure. Like a lot of the guys that run the fast boats, if you have the right lower, the 4-blade's the way to go.
Tempest props are one of the best props for bow lift. It may not be that it could just be that the prop itself is not 100%. Mm-hmm. Like it's a used boat, so you never know. Like just because it doesn't look, or just because it looks good doesn't mean that it's 100%. You know that prop's 100%.
Is it a 4-blade or a 3-blade?
It's a 3-blade.
3-blade Tempest.
So I need to figure out what I want to go to. I'm probably going to go to a 4-blade, and I need to figure out what pitch I need to go to. Do I need to go to a 25 pitch?
You want to drop down. So you're probably going to have to drop down. Generally, you're going to have to drop down when you go from a 3 to a 4. So
yeah, go down 1.
So you might need like a 22.
22 pitch 4-blade.
The issue is finding someone who has them so that you can try them before you drop $800 on a prop.
Right.
So and I read a lot online on the Ranger Aluminum Boats page. Now everybody's boat is rigged up a little differently, but I'm seeing a lot of guys who are putting 4-blade
Bravos.
No, it's not a Bravo.
Fury?
No, it's not enough horsepower for a Fury. That's more of a higher horsepower.
I think mine's the Bullet has a 28 Bravo 3-blade. That's what it runs the best on.
What's that other one?
A Solus Scorpion.
Oh, really?
So one guy says he's got a Solus Scorpion and he went to a 25 pitch.
Interesting.
And it's getting him up, and he's running close to 60 miles an hour with that prop on his boat. Now his jack plate is different than mine. He has an 8-inch. I have a 6-inch.
So he's got a little more setback. So you might need a little small. You might need like a 24.
Yeah.
Because that little bit of setback is going to give him more bow lift too.
Right. So
that little bit more bow lift may allow him to run a little bit bigger prop. It's a lot of it's a lot of like playing around and like just like making connections and finding people who already own props so that you can try them out before you drop a crap ton of money on them.
Right.
The issue is nobody I know is running an aluminum Ranger like mine with the same setup.
It's not about the setup really. It's about finding somebody who has the prop you want to try.
Yeah.
So they may be running it on a Champion or a Skeeter or whatever. Same prop. You just have to try. You just need to find somebody who owns one of those props to be able to try it out. Otherwise, you're going to end up.
Lou, let me try your 21 pitch. That's probably way too small for that.
Probably he's got a 115.
He's got a 115.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to end up spending $700 on a prop. And now, if you take it out, you run it once. If it doesn't work the way it does, you plop it back in the box and you sell it, and you'll get most of your money back.
Right.
I mean, if you only run it one time and you don't sandblast it, trying to run into the quarry canal or something, like
I don't think that's where I'm going to do my testing.
I just meant like if you went out and tested it and they're like, screw it, I'm going fishing, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But you'll get most of your money back. Like if you put, if you spend $700 on a prop, you'll probably you say, hey, I ran this once, $600, and it cost you $100. Trophy. That's what I was thinking of, not a Bravo.
Trophies are good.
All depends on the boat, Greg.
Yeah, see, I want to go to a 4-blade. I think it's going to give me a little bit more pickup.
I run a Renegade on the Ranger, and the top speed is pretty bad, but the top speed, it's bad because I put the poles on it and a bigger lower unit.
Whispering.
A 3-blade trophy? Okay. I didn't know they made a 3-blade trophy.
My boat loaded with somebody and decent amount of fuel. I'm seeing 55 like all day.
Yeah, see, I want to see 55 in mine with my 150.
So, it's funny. Like load makes such a big difference. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, when I was on with you guys.
You guys got a lot more shit than I do, so like my boat should be a lot lighter.
So, with just me in it the other night, I had 3/4 of a tank of gas too. Like I had a fair amount of gas in there.
In the old skeet.
And I mean, I hit 72 when I was driving with one hand.
When you were skeeting and yeeting.
I'm on live. I'm holding my phone with one hand and driving the boat.
Oh yeah. He's freaking running. He's hitting 70 miles an hour. He's like looking at us on the face like. Ah.
It's 71.9.
Yeah.
If I put another person in my boat, 68 max.
Really?
I was 4 miles an hour as soon as I put somebody else in the boat.
Yeah, the Bullet by myself, it's with a 225, I can see 75
My
comfortably.
Ranger does not do that. It is 48 miles an hour, 49
Doesn't
miles
matter
an hour.
what's in it.
Does not give a... you
Could have a load of cinder blocks
in it. You can put a boulder in it. It is doing 48 miles an hour.
Let's put a load of cinder blocks on it and go dump them somewhere.
It might run better.
Make us a little rock pile.
I have a huge pile of rocks in my yard that I'm looking to get rid of. I'm so serious about dropping them somewhere.
That's a John Boat job.
How you doing, Frank? Thanks for checking in.
What's up, Frank?
Yeah, your trophy is probably a 4-blade, Miles. All trophies are 4-blades.
Do me a favor, boys. Hit that like button for us. Hit that share button. Hitting the like and the share button helps the Facebook algorithm boost it to more people. Come on.
Did anybody watch?
I know, Greg.
Did anybody watch?
I'm just saying
that,
different props. Different props with different hulls make where it didn't make that much of a difference on yours, it can make a huge difference on a different hull from going from that 3-blade to 4-blade.
Yeah.
Did anybody watch Andy's new video today?
I did not.
I have not.
So basically, the market, the marine industry market is collapsing. The bubble is popping, like as we sit here today. So like basically, the guy like.
I did see his video last week where he said that
a lower is not going to cost us $8,000 anymore.
No, it'll still cost you $8,000.
So basically, it's guys that are, and I don't want to misquote him, but basically, boats that were selling for $100+ grand are now going off the lot, same package for like 80. So the bubble is finally popping, and the thing of it is now, as all these companies are laying off, he's saying there's a lot of boat builders out there that are only running 2 days a week. Because just and
because they have so much inventory already that they
and it's like, and that's my thing is it's like the big thing with Mercury that he was talking about last week with
the market's so saturated from COVID.
Exactly, and that's the thing. It's like nobody planned for it. It's like people didn't realize that like, hey, this massive boom of buying is only going to last a couple years, and now they've still made inventory,
and people aren't going to buy. Like the average person who went out and bought a bass boat during COVID is not going to buy a new bass boat every 2 years.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
You buy it. Why? Because they're not hardcore tournament fishermen.
Right.
I mean, it was just everyday guys that went out and like, oh well, I work from home now. I got a lot more time. Let me go buy a bass boat.
Right.
And they're going to keep that. They're going to keep that boat for 10 years. 5, 10, 15 years. There's no reason for them to get rid of it because they're not going out and fishing tournaments all the time.
Right. So Frank said we're missing the deep smallmouth bite. Where I'm curious as to where that's at.
Yeah, where at, Frank? Let me know.
It's certainly not on Conowingo.
That's not very nice, Scott.
Yeah, I don't.
I think Andy's pretty on point in my opinion.
I don't agree with that, Scott.
I personally.
Everybody. Let me take that back. Everybody who is successful on YouTube is a little clickbaity.
Oh,
what you have to do.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that the information that is put out is not accurate.
Yeah.
Randy Blockett, I agree. Effing idiot.
I just think Randy's irrelevant.
Yes, he is. He's irrelevant, and like he uses controversy to stay relevant. And congratulations.
That's what so many people do, though.
He's done a good job at it.
So many people just thrive off controversy and drama that pops off in different times of seasons and different bullshit that happens throughout.
Frank,
the
year. if you have photos, send them to our messenger
or post them in the comment thread.
They can't post them in the comment.
There is a way to do that.
He said there's no ability there, but
where is it?
We're gonna figure that out. Yeah. So, but back to that though. I mean, like Phoenix has done it, and Bass Cat's done it, where they're putting out 20 or 21 foot loaded bass boats, like with 12s and power poles for like mid 70s now.
Yeah, 70.
The Phoenix is 76,
75 for the Puma.
I thought it was it a Cougar? Yeah, it was a Cougar. And then the Phoenix is right there with like 76, but that's a foot longer.
The Phoenix is actually loaded better too.
It is. Yep.
Yeah, the new 721 is like 76, right?
Yep.
And that's dual power poles and two 12-inch units.
Yeah, which that was never even a consideration.
And an Ultra Quest.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like that didn't. It's happening like overnight, and it was like I think Bass Cat dropped it in 1 week, and then the next week Phoenix came out with theirs. So it's definitely interesting how it's happening, and it's happening quick.
Right. And I mean, a lot of that's, you get those people who are on the fence, who bought a boat, say they bought a boat 10 years ago when the price was 75 for a top of the line boat. Now, like, they might be on the fence of like, well, I could use a new boat, but they're too expensive. Now you come out with one that's 75,000. Now all of a sudden you get that, those people re-upping and getting a new boat because they think it's got a good value.
Right.
And when you drop when a boat's been a 721 loaded out 85,000. So when you drop that price $10,000, now like everybody, you look at it like, oh, that's a great value compared to what it was last year.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I thought he was using Kusa board on that. I did watch that video. But anyway,
that media share thing's not working like I thought it would. I'll have to look into that a little bit later. What do we have here? I hope they don't sell another damn boat up them prices. There's great deals
Frank's
all
just mad
over
at
right
you.
now.
So the new Triton
Frank said his
hull-
Phoenix is 11 inches wider than a Bass Cat and still runs 77. Wider is better sometimes.
not in rough
It's
water.
definitely gonna
Exactly.
make it. It's definitely gonna make a rough water ride rougher.
I'm really curious to see how the Bullet handles like some nasty water, because I've heard the trick with that is from everyone I've talked to and reading the forums is like you have to stay on top
Just
of
go
it.
wide
I mean, I have
open.
to stay on top of my Skeeter.
If you stay on top of them, it'll ride like a dream. But as soon as you start porpoising and stuff like that, it's over. It's over.
So I will say one thing that I was actually talking to Candace about this today, and she was like, "Well, like it seemed like you could." It seemed like it was easier to run the Champion in rough water, which it was. My Skeeter handles rough water as well as my Champion. Now, granted, it's 2 feet longer, but I have to drive the shit out of it in
Right.
rough water. Mm-hmm. Where my Champion, like I just trim it down, plow through everything.
Right.
It was way easier to drive the Champion in water because of the hull design than the Skeeter was. Now that being said, like I ran my Skeeter in 4-footers, coming down in the Solstice tournament, coming down from the flats, legit 4-footers. If Kayla Hale says they're 4-footers, they're probably 4-footers. She's on the water a lot more than we are.
Right.
And like I mean, we didn't, we hit 1 or 2 hard, but I would have hit them hard in a Champion. Didn't
Right.
stuff any. Didn't get beat too bad.
Now, what do you think this is probably an unfair question, but what do you think is a better fishing platform?
Oh, my Skeeter, 100%.
Is that just because it's bigger, or
It's a
just
better fishing
much wider.
platform. It's probably
Okay.
not a better riding platform though.
Well, like I said, it rides as well. But I have to. It takes more effort to drive it in rough water because I actually have to drive it. Like I said, with my Champion, trim it down, get the nose up, and I can just plow through anything. Mm-hmm. You can plow through 2 to 3 footers, and you just bury it. You just plow. You can plow right through it, and it'll just cut right through them. But the Skeeter, you can't do that. If you try to do that, you will get beat to shit. So it's just all in how you drive it. So I won't say that it's a worse ride than the Skeeter or than the Champion. It's just harder to drive it in rough water.
Right.
And I think that's why you see a lot of people saying that like one boat rides so much better than another boat.
Send it to Bass and Beer, Frank.
Because a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people really know how to drive in rough water.
yeah.
Because I know, like, I mean, I've been in boats that are not necessarily known for being rough water boats. John Jedry. I've ridden John Jedry's Nitro, which it's a Nitro Z9. It's not supposed to be a good rough water boat. I've been in other Z9s and got the shit beat out of me. Me and Jedry went out and fished the Gunpowder. It was a couple years ago. The Last Chance tournament got canceled, and we just went out and he was like, "We'll go fishing." And I was like, "Yeah." So we went to the Gunpowder and we went outside the bridge, and it was gnarly, dude. That boat, he drove that thing so smooth through that rough water, not a problem.
Yeah.
That same year, I fished in the same exact boat in the semifinals on the bay, not as rough water, and got the shit beat out of me.
Right.
It's 95% driver.
Right. I can't wait to see how the Bullet handles, because I mean, I feel like it'll probably be better because it's a whole 3 feet more than the Ranger, so that 3 feet's going to make a huge difference. But with how much lighter the boat is, I mean, that's
a nice one. That is deep. You know how you can tell it's deep?
How dark it is.
No, look right below. Go back to that.
The blood coming out, or the red?
It's coming from the gills.
Because of the pressure difference?
The pressure, it bursts the capillaries in their gills. So you can tell they're deep. 626. Yeah, boy.
That's awesome.
Oh, we don't have these up, do we? Sorry, we are looking at pictures that we're about to post up here. Them up. And it's getting me very excited, and I might have to take a little ride.
Where'd they go? There they are.
Frank, I have never fished Erie. Just letting you know. I've always wanted to. I've never fished it.
I really like this feature.
Is that the slideshow?
Here's Frank's.
That's a nice. Yeah,
Can
it's
you go back
giant.
to the commentary? I can't read that. It's too far away. I'm old. I'm old and I don't have my glasses on.
That's a tank.
626. Frank, I have never fished Erie. I've always wanted to catch a 6-pound smallmouth. That's like been my goal in life for a long time. And I have not done that yet. I came very close on the St. Lawrence.
I was happy to catch a 5-pounder up there. I finally caught my 5. But like, dude, I don't know. I mean, I definitely think a couple of those that I didn't weigh were probably close to 5 that I never weighed. Because like that one, when I caught it, I was like, man, I don't think it's 5. And my buddy's like, you better weigh that thing. And sure enough, it was.
Hammer.
Like,
it's a hammer. Smallmouth.
Those northern fish, dude, they're just so stout. Like they
Gobies,
don't,
baby.
They are not skinny, dude.
See the blood coming out of the gills?
Yeah.
That happens a lot when you catch smallmouth deep.
There's the next one again. Yeah, it's just that's a giant smallmouth.
I'm good.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, John knows.
That's a huge smallmouth. 46 feet. That's my kind of fishing too.
John,
that's my kind of fishing.
John and Steve were going to go up to St. Lawrence this weekend, but it didn't work out. They didn't end up going. But John and Steve were going to head up to St. Lawrence this weekend.
It's so different. I mean, when you get in, you're catching, he's 46 feet of water.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. I find that so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't got the opportunity
it's refreshingly different than what we do around
here. I haven't got the opportunity to do that with, live scope. I was doing it on the St. Lawrence 2 years ago with 2D. We were fishing 25 to 35 feet of water with 2D sonar and dropping on fish that we saw on 2D sonar.
Damn, he says there's a wreck that's in 54 feet. That's pretty cool.
You can't catch up to them before they break the surface. That's the same way on Ontario. Is when you catch a fish in 35 feet of water, you're reeling like this,
right?
And you're it's just slack. And then all of a sudden, a 4-pounder just goes and just jumps out of the water. That's how you know that's the easiest way to know if you have a smallmouth or a drum.
Oh, really?
Up there.
Wow.
Yep. Because the smallmouth will immediately shoot to the surface, the drum will stay deep. Now the smallmouth they'll shoot up to the surface and then they'll go back down, and then they'll kind of stay down. But
why is that?
The drum will just stay down.
Like, why do they do that?
I don't know.
It's kind of interesting.
Because they're pissed off. They're little balls of anger. I mean, that's the best way to describe them. Little balls of anger.
Or big balls of anger. That was like how it was on the St. Lawrence. I think the ones up in St. Lawrence
are more like big balls of anger.
I mean,
they're pretty large.
They're still only like this big.
Oh, they're still just NFL-sized footballs.
Yeah, that are made out of lead.
But that's the thing, and I think that's why you just don't see. I still think that's why you see a lot of the biggest smallmouth that are ever going to be caught in those inland reservoirs, like in Tennessee and shit like that, because those are lake smallmouth. Lake smallmouth, they're just going to get bigger.
No.
I think they get longer. They get longer and they have an opportunity to fill out more.
It's like a different subspecies.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But that being said, I mean, you just had one almost 10 caught on Cayuga last year.
Right.
It's
Good
one.
Lord.
They have a longer growing season, so that helps. Two, I think it's not that they don't get as big; they're more spread out.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how big like Ontario is.
It's huge.
It's giant. Erie, same way. How big is Dale Hollow is not that big.
Yeah.
Which is where your world record came from, and like 3 of the 8-10 pound smallmouth ever caught came out of Dale Hollow.
Where when you went to St. Lawrence last year, where'd you go? Thousand Islands area?
I fished Ontario for 3 days.
Look at
because I
that
wanted to fish
freaking
lake.
hammer sack of smallmouth.
Yeah, that's sick. Then I fished Cape Vincent one day, and then I fished Grassy Creek one day, which is right by right at the beginning of the American Era.
Absolutely giant bag of smallmouth.
So that's probably a little farther or a little closer to the lake than what you were fishing.
Man, they're
Yeah.
really pretty fish.
We were near
too.
Clayton in that area.
Oh yeah. That's like Cape Vincent is like between Clayton and the mouth,
Okay.
and then Grassy is farther down the river from Clayton.
The furthest north I ever went was Waddington, and there was a lot of fish in Waddington too. I mean, that whole river is just ridiculous.
It's funny because you say north, but it's downriver.
I know. Yeah, I know. It's the river. The river that river flows north, which is weird. And people don't. I don't think people don't realize
It doesn't really flow north.
Hey,
It
what's
flows-
up, Jason?
It flows like east-west.
Yeah, but the thing of it is like that place. When you fish the Thousand Islands, there's a lot of bays and stuff, and you get in the bays and there's current, but it's not crazy. And then you get into the main river, and it's like
2 mile an hour current
It
all the time.
is crazy. Like
I love
it moves like a lot.
Like fast enough and the farther down the river you get, like toward Waddington and like Messina, the stronger the current gets.
Right.
So like Clayton, you get like a 1 to 2 mile an hour current, and when you get down to like Messina, you get like 3 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
To where if you put your trolling motor on 10, you will still be moving backwards.
Yep.
Yeah, you cannot move up the current. You have to use your big motor to go up the current. That's why we do a lot of drifting up there.
Yeah.
Because you can't hold your boat. So you just have to line. You have to know where you
Run
want to
up and drift down.
You run up and you drift down, and you drift and you catch giant smallmouth. It's fun.
What's up, Steven? It seems like such a pain in the ass, though. Like, how long would you drift before you'd have to get back in the driver's seat?
A long way.
Is it like a while?
I mean, you can if you get on like some of the
Like, are you like running back and forth every 5 minutes to freaking run back up to us?
No, 10 or 15.
Like, what if you hit a spot and you get on fish? So then it's just like, okay, you want to hit that spot again. So then you just have to keep running back and running up and floating back over it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
But
here the thing,
obviously world class fishing. But
the thing up there is like it's not always like if you have a shoal, usually that whole shoal is good, and that
Yes.
shoal might be
Right.
shoal might be 200 yards long, so you can drift that whole shoal. Mark where you caught your like okay I caught a 6-pounder here, I dropped the mark, I want to make sure I hit that spot again, and then you just go back up and you drift down again, and I mean you'll catch fish all the way up and down that shoal. It's
look,
generally not
there's our invite to the freaking land of giants right there.
Now-
we need to hit up Frank.
up where
And
you
then
were
we need
fishing.
to hit up
There's a lot of
freaking-
singular stuff,
Yes.
Yeah.
so there's a lot of like
Small islands.
if you've been
individual
going
rocks.
if you've been going up by yourself, like I would have gave you as many waypoints as you wanted,
Where's Jim Fallon at?
because because the current's a lot lower up there, so you can actually fish specific areas, and because of all the islands, you don't have as much current when you're outside of that main channel, and you can find big boulders.
Right.
And if you find big boulders in 20 feet of water, you're going to catch fish.
Right.
It might not be the right fish, but you're going to catch fish.
Right.
But it's still like if you're going up there for a fun trip, you can catch 3.5 pounders all day.
Oh yeah, that's what happened. Like it was. So we went up there.
That's my PB, so that sounds like a great time.
We went up there looking for my buddy who I was fishing with. He wanted to catch them on beds, which usually this time of year they're kind of at the tail end of that.
Yeah.
But apparently they had a couple warm weeks up there, so there was very few fish on beds. So we looked for beds a lot, didn't really find fish on beds. And we were going from one island to the next, and we were crossing over like a main river thing. And I said, hey, Jake, there's a shoal right here, 20 feet, comes up in 20. Can we hit that real quick? He's like, yeah, sure. Spot lock on it, throw the drop shot out, boom, 4-pounder.
So I guess this would be
Throw
a
it out
good
again,
time.
boom, 4-pounder. I'm like, here we go. Like, let's just stay here.
I guess this is a good time to bring up your slideshow then, isn't it?
Sure.
Let's check out some of Tony's smallmouth from his St. Lawrence trip.
Frank said, drive up there, you'll beat the shit out of your PB.
Yes, you will. That fish right there was the smallest keeper that I had that day. I think I had 19 and change. That was a different day. But every fish we caught was offshore or in like off of we did catch a couple fish on the bank, but they were on like ledges type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful fish right there.
That was the biggest one. That was 5 and change. That fish was on a bed.
Stud monkey.
That fish we actually caught off of a bed.
Yeah, that's a beautiful fish.
Yep, we saw it on a bed, circled around it, got downstream of it, cast it up in front of the bed, let the drop shot drift onto the bed.
That looked like it's a 4-pound smallmouth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a 4.
Dude, it's amazing up there because like you catch a 4-pound smallmouth on Conowingo, it's like the coolest thing ever. But up there, it's like,
Yeah, once you catch your
We'll get another one.
Once you catch like your 6th one, it's like
Right.
meh.
it's crazy.
Yeah, after your first day.
But it was
not really
was neat because there were some
it's
fish
like,
on
just
beds.
another 4-pounder.
There were some fish on beds. There were some fish cruising, like some spawning areas. Like I think a lot of those fish spawn in 20 feet out there. I really do. Because the one that we caught was probably the big one was probably in 15 feet, and the 5-pounder that we caught.
Question: how cool was it to look down and see the bottom in like 22 feet?
Oh, it's bizarre. It's crazy. It's crazy. And here's the other thing about the St. Lawrence, and this is like kind of a pet peeve of mine. It goes out to my buddy Bob Schaefer. I'm sure I don't know if he's watching or not, but I love Bob to death. But Bob's like, dude, I don't like fishing Conowingo because it's not marked. Like the
Steven,
upper
what state
part's
are you
not
in now?
marked. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. The St. Lawrence is no better. Like the bays, Alexandria Bay, we were idling over a spot, and it said on the graph it's supposed to be like 15 feet. It's like 6 inches with a huge boulder. I'm like, holy shit, dude! How does someone not smack the shit out of this?
They do. Yeah, you have to be pretty careful up there. I almost ran up on a shoal. Like I just I took my eyes off the map for just for like a second, and then I looked over and realized like I was running up this shoal. Mm-hmm. Like it was a big flat that came up into a shoal, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What river is that? I'm gonna guess the Allegheny River because it has that mountainous background. That would be a hell of a good guess, but I don't think it is.
Cayuga.
There's definitely some current in there. You can see it in the back.
Or wind. It could be wind. You never know. Or it could have been a boat going by.
I'm gonna say Allegheny River. That's my guess.
Oh, he's in New York. Oh, Allegheny.
Nice. Damn. I can't believe I guessed that. The only reason I know that is because
Oh no, he's in Pennsylvania.
he said Erie, so I was like, oh, maybe he's a PA guy. But the only to my knowledge, one of the best smallmouth true rivers in Pennsylvania is the Allegheny River. And I know the only reason I know that is because Nathan Quince, I think he fished the opens for a while. That's that guy that we met that one day. Me and you were catching him in Furnace Bay real good.
We gotta hit him up.
He fishes the Allegheny River a lot.
Georgia. Yeah, it's hot in Georgia.
Hey, so
that's cool.
What's the deal with there's been some notable tournament cancellations recently in this area. And Oneida, they just got canceled as well.
I didn't hear about Oneida.
Oneida got canceled too.
Are they still continuing with the Chester counties?
Yes. It got rescheduled.
Rescheduled for what, the fall?
Yeah. So it's rescheduled for October. So basically, Joe Love is no longer the director of Black Bass for DNR.
Okay.
There's a new guy in here. And he asked them just to help with tournament mortality to not have tournaments when the water temperature was over 85 degrees.
Okay. I mean, I get it.
Why don't
It
they
makes
do that
sense.
shit for spawn so the freaking surrounding 4 states around us don't keep driving to Maryland and fishing our fish?
So I
But does it
have
really
something to
affect
say
it?
about that.
Does
Yes.
it really affect it?
I think it does.
Does it really affect it?
I think
Because there were
think
two
it affects-
26-pound bags called last.
I know there's been 26-pound bags, but what could be even better?
It wouldn't be better.
I think
It's
you-
not going to get better.
I think you meet in the
because
middle of the
more
road.
fish. Remember, you know what Oliver says? The more fish are not necessarily better.
Yeah,
I
that's
need
true.
to email the guy.
I think
Get it over here.
I think what they should do is they should not allow out of state tournaments. Like
I'm
if,
not a
if your
fan of it.
club
Like, why
if
is
your club
Pennsylvania
or organization
coming
is
down
out
here
of
because
state,
you can't fish in Pennsylvania.
But the state wants people to come in because if we have it open and people come in, it brings revenue to the state.
How many of these clubs do you think are actually pulling the permits they should be pulling?
What doesn't
paying
the
for
permits? The permits aren't. They're free. There's no
Where's the
permits for it.
There's no. Where's the revenue?
The revenue comes from them. They come in
Gas?
buying gas and buying food and hotel
Oh, God.
stays and things like that. That's what they look for as far as revenue. They don't look at like tournament or like very little on licenses.
right?
The city of Northeast wants people to come in and fish tournaments because people come and they get hotel rooms, they buy gas, they buy food, and it brings
Maybe for
money into the
Northeast,
local-
nothing out of
local
the
economy.
gunpowder, freaking Dundee Creek.
No, but they're not going to make there. It's very hard to make regulations for like a specific area.
Okay, so now we're getting into an interesting thing. So like you don't, okay,
Because it's hard to you can't police it.
so let's say
Come on.
I want tournaments. I want as many March tournaments or March through April tournaments as possible out of Dundee. I want there to be a 100 boat tournament out of Dundee in April. You know why? Because they're going to bring a bunch of fish back to Dundee. Like
I agree. I also think
I mean, that's one way to look at it. But
one of the things that
they don't do that. They go to the gunpowder and then they take the fish back to the
So,
Northeast. That's how that works.
one of the things that I've wanted to, and I've tried to like present this to the Black Bass Committee or members of the Black Bass Committee, is pushing for them not to eliminate tournaments during that time of year, but limit the number that you can have out of specific ramps.
I do agree with that.
So, you say you can only have, there can only be 2 tournaments a weekend out of the Northeast. 2 total.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're 20 boats or 100 boats. You can only have 2.
Right.
1 each day. Makes
sense. Makes sense.
then open up the elk. So they're working on making the elk better for boating, like launching, because it does, when you get a south wind, it sucks.
Oh God, yes.
So
Well,
they're
how
work-
are they going to make that better?
Hey, thanks
They're
for
working
the
on
They're
like,
going to
Jeff.
put like rock jetties out there, like
No,
a Leesylvania
so
or
they're
something?
working on like so Scott said that they approved a floating it's a floating like jetty type thing. So basically it's like it's a big floating platform that's out
Similar to
there.
Conowingo, but bigger, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
okay.
it's made to break the wake.
Okay.
So that's what they're looking at doing. But the problem with the elk
Frank,
is it's
good luck,
limited to
brother.
60
Thanks
boats.
for joining in tonight. We appreciate it. Awesome
I thought it was
smallmouth.
bigger than that.
And keep us posted on how
That's
you do
their-
this weekend.
That's their park rule.
Their
But it's
park
the-
rule.
You can park 150 boats there.
Oh, so they limit the tournaments.
Limit the tournaments to 60
Oh
boats.
shit. Okay. Interesting. Didn't know that.
So then you have that. Now, smaller tournaments have been going out of there. PATBF goes out of elk. Fishers of Men goes out of elk. And I think that's good for them to use different ramps instead of all of these fish going back to the Northeast.
Right.
The Northeast, before they started having a lot of tournaments out of anchor, the Northeast sucked.
Right.
It got stocked. Now, I'm not saying that all of the fish stay in the Northeast. Obviously, they leave the Northeast. But from like the one study that I read, if a fish is caught 10 miles or under from the launch ramp, there's like a 95% of those fish will go back to where they were caught. Mm-hmm. If it's over 10 miles, it drops to like 20.
Right.
So
like every fish that's pulled in or out of the gunpowder is never going back to the
right,
gunpowder.
gunpowder's 30 miles away.
Right. Yeah.
So, none of those fish are going back to
You
the
could
gunpowder.
almost argue that like a fish caught at the back of Middle River may not make it back from the gunpowder.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, we're not just talking about the flat. I mean, there's numerous.
No, I'm using that because that's where all the fish, that's where all the tournaments are.
But think about the Potomac. I mean, that's a really good example too. I mean,
Feel the
guys
same way.
catching them in the back of a quaya released at Smallwood. That's why so many tournaments.
But
you can always catch a good bag out of Smallwood.
But there's also a lot of you can't really use a quaya because a lot of fish get dumped in a quaya.
That's true. Yeah, that's a fair point.
There's a lot of tournaments that go out of a quaya. But
maybe Fort
Piscataway.
Washington. Yeah, I was going to say Fort Washington.
Piscataway or up around DC, those areas. It's the same thing. Like those fish aren't going back there. Now, on the plus side, not that many people run that far on the Potomac.
Yeah, true.
In our local tournaments, most of the people stay in that middle area of
Mattawoman, Quantico area,
Mattico,
Belmont
Quantico,
Bay.
Belmont, Chickamauga, and those areas up to Pohick.
Yeah.
Greenway Flats. We'll say Greenway Flats.
Yeah.
Greenway Flats and Pohick, kind of right same.
I thought
area,
that was Po Monkey.
No, Po Monkey's farther south. Pohick is on the other side of the river.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Because Po Monkey's right below Greenway Flats.
Yeah, a little bit below.
Yeah.
Okay. A mile below Greenway Flats. But that's what one study that they had on they tagged fish and they determined that under 10 miles most of the fish are going to go back to where they were caught.
How long does it take?
So it varies. They can and I've heard this in multiple places. A bass can move 3 miles a day. So it could be a week. Now they may rest in between, but a lot of those fish, if they're caught relatively close to the ramp, are going to go back. If you make a long run, those fish probably aren't going back.
Right.
They're going to become resident fish somewhere.
Well, that was one of the points that Tom from Fishing the DMV had said. That's why for a long time Nanjamoy was so good, because they had a Wednesday night series or whatever. Yeah. Guys were pulling all these fish back into Nanjamoy with nowhere to go, and then they stopped having the tournaments. Somebody won a big tournament there, and then every BFL guys were going down to Nanjamoy pulling the fish out, taking them back to Mattawoman or Leesylvania, and they weren't going back to Nanjamoy. So it's all relative.
I heard Toyota Series was one out of Nanjamoy this year.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I've always wanted to fish down there, but it's just for a club tournament. It's just so much of a run.
We got to get that guy. We got to get Tom from Fishing the DMV back.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You guys got to brush up on that conversation you guys were having.
Yeah, he's cool. I like Tom.
Yeah, very very intelligent.
He just put out a good video about ethics in fishing. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. I haven't watched it. Did you watch it?
How do you know it's good then?
Freaking ethics.
Dude, so it's funny you say that, because I was fishing.
I took ethics training at work.
Yeah, right. The last time
I clicked through that PowerPoint too.
The last time I was fishing the flats, it was the end of the club tournament, and I was fishing the sailboat dock in Tidings, and there was a guy and his kid that were on the other side. They were on the outside, I was going to go on the inside, and I pulled down at the end of it. I didn't have a fishing rod in my hand, and I kind of shouted, "Hey, are you done this dock? I'm just going to go down this side and work the wall." And this guy was just probably because he had his 10-year-old son with him. He's like, "No, I'm good, but thank you so much for asking."
Well, that's the thing.
And
Nobody, I'm a pretty lenient guy when it comes to
What's up, Trent?
Fishing in an area, but nobody stops and asks. If you don't stop and ask, or at least acknowledge that I'm there, I'm going to be a dick.
So, this doesn't even just go for fishing. This goes for just boating in general. This goes for
just being a decent human being.
Just being a decent human being at the boat ramp. Don't sit in the boat ramp and get your boat ready. Help somebody if you can help them. You know what I mean? We're all in this thing together. We're all trying to get out on the water and enjoy the water. And for God's sakes, let's all pay attention and make it a safer place for everybody to be. And you know what? I got to say, as we're speaking about this, I saw a prime example of somebody who just had absolutely no, just pure ignorance on the water.
The pontoon boat?
Pontoon boat?
The one that we saw on Facebook?
No, the guy that sunk his car twice in 2 days?
No, not even that. So when we went out on the flats yesterday, we got out there at I'm sorry, it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that. It was
the day before yesterday.
It was the day before. We were out fishing.
Yeah.
And this boat was out on the other side of one of the islands out there, and it was like these people beached themselves on this boat, and they were kicking up this huge rooster trail trying to get off
like a
pleasure boat. Yeah, it was like a small 18-foot pleasure boat with like one of those like glass consoles in the front that goes across the whole thing.
Like a Bayliner type boat. Smashed a largemouth at Lake Anna, ended up with 48 total. PB was 40. Yeah, nice job.
Good Lord, Trent. See, that's killing it. He's not even out there on a bass boat either. He's out there on like a nice rockfish boat that he has.
Sweet.
So that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Jason says he's threatened to board people's boats before.
Nice.
Like the boat video from Facebook. Did you post a video?
No, I think he might be referring to one of the videos we posted.
Oh, okay.
So they beached themselves?
So they beached themselves, and they were trying to get off of the sandbar, and they get off the sandbar, and
Yeah, I used to have a Chevy Cavalier. God damn it, dude! I love
Martin,
that
that's
thing.
hilarious. I love you, Martin.
I love the Chevy Cavalier. Should have painted it camouflage though. Like
I'm fishing here, and there's a guy fishing here, and this boat comes off. Now there's like, granted, we're on the flats, so like you can go anywhere. This boat goes like 10 feet from the other bass boat.
It starts fishing.
And no, it just passes them. But it just passes them. I'm like, you guys could have gone anywhere.
So I see
and
that
you went like right past this dude who was fishing. Like this guy could have pegged you directly in your face with a jig.
So I
picked up another rod and hit you in the face again with another bait before you were far enough away.
I see this all the time out there, and like say these two cans.
Why do people think it's okay to do that?
These are two guys fishing, and they're fishing out this way, right? Like if I'm coming this way and I see those two guys fishing over here, like I'm gonna go out here and go around behind them.
Right.
But all the time, like every single day that I'm out there, I swear you see it at least one time, bloop, right in front of them.
Yep.
I've had it happen to me. I had a guy run so close in front of me, he almost picked up my line. Like,
oh, dude, I
reeled in real fast, and he 65 mile an hour right in front. Like,
I didn't tell you guys what happened to me the last club tournament. So I was struggling. I ended up taking second. You didn't almost
throttle anybody, did you?
Dude, I was texting you guys. I didn't even know what to say. Like I was literally, I was sitting.
Do you remember this?
I was struggling all day. I only had I caught 2 on a frog in the morning, and I was struggling the rest all morning. So it's like 1 o'clock, and I'm not getting fish.
Was it me?
No. So it's low tide. I'm on the back channel, right?
I actually didn't see you all day.
And I'm fishing the grass edge. I think it was the club tournament I was out there. We were both out, but we didn't see each other.
I never saw you all day.
So I was fishing the very defined grass edge of back channel. On low tide, you can see it clear as day. So I'm literally pulled down in the grass like maybe 10 yards inside the grass edge, pulled down because I'm catching them. Catching shorts, catch a keeper. So now I got 4 keepers, right? And I'm catching them like every other cast. Just found a school, and you weed through them, you get a big one every there. So I'm sitting there and I'm catching them, right? And this boat from the back channel gets up on pad and sits down on the grass edge. I didn't realize how close he was. I turn around, dude, he's like 30 yards behind me. We're the only 2 boats on back channel. So I'm facing that way. He's behind me. I catch another keeper. So now I caught my 3rd and my 4th keeper right on that spot. So this boat is getting close to me to the point where like I can hear their trolling motor turning, the head behind me, and I look back, and he's like 15 feet behind me. I'm like, dude, there's no way. So I'm just like, whatever. I don't care. I'm out here solo. I just want to catch one more fish to get the monkey off my back, right? This dude literally goes around me, like with his boat on the grass edge, like trolling motor on 100 on the grass edge. And it was I think it was a G3 aluminum boat. They were fishing a tournament out of Northeast. I think it was Chester County or something like that. Like to the point where like, and they're flipping towards the boat, and they're like, the guy's like trying to talk, like, hey man, how's it going? I'm just like,
what the
what
are you doing?
Like, what are you doing? He gets no shit 20 yards in front of me on the grass edge and pulls down
right where you were casting.
Yes. right where I was casting. I'm like, and then they caught 2 fish, like 2 decent ones. I'm like, fuck this shit. I didn't know what to say.
I would have went 10 yards in front of them and pulled down.
So I ended up leaving. I came back an hour later. I put poles down in the same spot and caught a 4.5 pounder. I caught my 5th fish and then caught a 4.5 pounder, and then I missed a 5 pounder.
Or I would have done.
Dude, I was so mad. I couldn't even believe it.
I definitely think it would have gone to the other side of them and just started fishing.
I literally
again. Like,
threw my.
are you retarded?
And the best thing about it was, as they were passing me, they were still fishing. I literally threw my line out in front of me, and their frog went over top my line. That's when I texted you guys. I'm like, someone just crossed my line. That's
insane.
I do remember.
I was
that
like,
now.
there's no way.
I was fishing an SQT on the Potomac one day, and me and Jim Goins were fishing next to each other. Wow. Bubs, that was terrible.
God damn.
So
nice.
Me and Jim Goins are fishing next to each other, and we're like a cast apart. So
but you also know Jim Goins. So
we know, like we pulled up, we're both pulled down, we're both catching fish, and this local dude, Virginia boat, comes around behind us.
Was this on the Potomac?
Yeah.
Okay.
And comes up in between us. Like Jim's casting toward my boat. Like that's where he's fishing. Like he's fishing between my boat and him, and I'm fishing like out the front. My co-angler's fishing out the other side. This boat pulls up between us. So I happen to have a 3/4 ounce rattle trap on my deck because it was an early spring tournament. I was throwing a rattle trap earlier in the day. So I just pick up my rattle trap and I just start casting in front of his boat, like in front of his here's his trolling motor, so my line lands in front of his trolling motor. Doesn't get the point. So I just keep doing it. Finally, he gets up, so like he's just in front of me and Jim, and he just stops. He didn't have poles, so he didn't put his poles down. I kid you not, I launched that 3/4 ounce rattle trap so hard into the back of his motor, that rod was done. I had to re-spool it when I got home. I blew that reel up. And then he got the point, and he left.
Did he even say a word?
Trap off his cat.
Never said a word. No, I didn't bounce a rattle trap off of it. I grenaded a rattle trap into it.
Did it break the rattle trap?
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
It was actually, to be fair, it wasn't a rattle trap. It was an XRK 75, and it probably wasn't worth breaking it.
Yeah, right.
Because it was like a $50 trap.
But I was just completely
so mad,
bewildered.
Like people,
it's amazing.
like you don't get the
people do out
point.
there.
Like I've been casting out here like the entire time, and you pull between us, and you're just gonna roll right through where I've been casting.
It's either that or they just literally just do not care.
Oh no, he didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Until I launched it into his trolling motor. A friend of my buddies, they were fishing Toyota Series on the Potomac. They're pre-fishing, and they're fishing together. They're like right here. They're kind of pre-fishing together. They're fishing this grass bed, and they're pretty close. And this guy, like, literally was going from like group of boats to group of boats and just like pulling into the middle of them. And he pulls into the middle between Frank and shoot, I can't remember his buddy's name. He's from New York. And he pulls in the middle, and Frank's buddy from New York just takes a Senko and just casts it on the guy's deck. Like it just goes boom on the guy's deck. And the guy's like, what was that for? It means you're too fucking close.
Nice.
Like he just let it sit there until the guy realized there was a Senko laying on his deck. Hilarious.
And you're too close.
Means you're too freaking close. And then guy left. And you know what he did? Went right down to the next group and just pulled into the... Like, he didn't learn anything from it.
No.
He didn't learn anything from it. He didn't care. He just went. He went to the next group of boats and pulled right in on them.
I guarantee you his boat was registered in New Jersey.
I don't think so. I think it was way out of state.
Oh, fair enough.
But
I saw a boat.
But there's people like that that don't care. I was fishing a tournament in the Northeast one, and I was just fishing a club tournament. There was a Chester County going on at the same time. It was a smaller. It wasn't one of the trail. It was like their open, like their last open of the year. It was in November. I knew it was going on. I'm fishing an area, and there's a dock next to the area, and I was fishing this bank next to this dock. I went over to fish the dock. I fished a couple poles. Saw the guy come in and set down in the 6 mile an hour where you have to set down to come into this dock. So I kicked my trolling motor up on high, and I go back over to the rocks that I'm fishing, and like he just like dead forward. Does not acknowledge me whatsoever. So I just like he's coming this way and I keep going this way. So he keeps like going farther out, trying to go around me to get around me. Almost runs his boat up on the riprap, trying to get around me. Then turns around and calls me an asshole. Because I think you just own this whole place. And I just looked at him and I'm like, dude, all you had to do was ask.
Right.
I knew what he was fishing. I knew he was fishing a money tournament. Dude, I was fishing a club tournament. I didn't care. All he had to do was stop and say, hey man, you know, I'm fishing a tournament. Do you mind if I fish back here?
Right.
Yeah. I don't have an issue with that. Like, as long as you ask. I may say no, but just ask. 90% of the time, I'm going to say yes.
Right.
You know, but nobody has any courtesy. Most of your situations and your bad blood that happens in fishing, especially in this area, could have been solved by having a conversation on the water, or speaking on the water. But nobody has any speaking skill.
No.
Nobody wants to talk. Everybody. I'm going to say this, and I absolutely mean it. Almost every single person that fishes bass tournaments is an entitled bitch. They think they're entitled. They think that it's their right to go in and fish anywhere that they want, and they're wrong. If somebody's fishing an area, go fish somewhere else.
Bass fishermen definitely do have a bad rep.
Oh,
for
dude,
being little fucking
perfect
pussies.
example. Me and Miles on the Conowingo tournament, we
No doubt about it.
pulled into an area,
And it was a Red Ranger, wasn't it?
No, but I know who you're talking about.
Red aluminum Ranger.
It was Scotty was coming out of it, and as soon as I seen him, I said, Miles,
Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know.
I said, turn around, let's go. He's in here.
Don't tell Scotty.
Let's just go.
Anyway.
He doesn't know where the smallmouth are.
But that's the best. Well, you don't need to know where they are now.
You know, if he's idling out of that area and you're going in, like, that's fine. Like, you know, that's no big deal. Like, he's leaving an area, you're going into an area, that's not a big deal. But when somebody sees you catch a fish as they're like idling out of the rocks, and then all of a sudden your partner catches a fish, and then they swing their boat around and try to pull up 20 yards behind you, and then try to go around you to where you're actually catching the fish. That's dumb.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that shit.
Yep, people do it all the time.
They do it all the time, and they don't even think about it.
I will say that's one of my favorite parts about fishing Conowingo.
And those are probably the same ignorant assholes that do the ignorant shit at the boat ramp too. They're the same ignorant people that do shit at the boat ramp.
There's a certain red aluminum Ranger that does it all the time. And guess what? His buddy did it to me on almost not quite as bad. Did it to me on Sunday.
Call him out.
I don't know who he is.
You know who it is.
I know who. I don't know his name.
You know his name. I'll tell you later.
Yeah, but it's funny though because like on the lake, like you don't see that as much up there. Like the courtesy,
is so different.
But it's amazing because the only thing that separates the etiquette from the bay to Conowingo is a dam. It's in a way, it's a metaphorical barrier.
It's the people.
That is a big part of it. Too.
You have different. It's different people that fish Conowingo. For the most part, the people who fish Conowingo don't really fish the bay.
You don't have the crowd on Conowingo that are on the bay.
You don't have 100 boat tournaments on Conowingo. Yeah. You know, if you have 100 boat tournaments on Conowingo, that's going to happen.
You have people from Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Coming to fish the flats, but most of them guys are fishing the flats. They're not coming up.
I would say there's probably out of the at most 50 boats that'll show up for an open on Conowingo, you might have 10 guys that'll regularly fish the flats. 10 boats.
Yeah, 1 out of 4.
Maybe.
Right.
A lot of the guys that are up there in them Conowingo Opens are just religious Conowingo fishermen. That's where they fish.
And they're good.
Just kind of like how my home is the GP. That's where their home is. That they fish. They fish Conowingo.
Yeah, I can only think of a few. I can only think of 2 that regularly fish the Upper Bay. Herb and Sean.
Yeah.
Sean.
Petticourt.
Oh, yeah. Basta.
Basta doesn't fish the bay that much.
He fished the
he did fish
Flats Trail this year.
Flats Trail this year, but he's not like a regular.
Yeah. I mean,
regular Upper Bay fisherman.
I guess I could put myself in that category. I mean, I don't fish. I fished a couple opens this year on the bay, but I fished Conowingo. I fish every Conowingo open I can.
In my personal opinion, like split between the Thursday nighters and Conowingo, like you're a Conowingo fisherman.
Oh yeah,
in my opinion.
I think it's that's because it's a better
You
fishery.
put a lot more time and more energy into fishing Conowingo than you do trying to find.
Well,
find
it's
fish
more
on the
rewarding
lakes.
to catch them there because it's bigger, but it's a better Conowingo is a better fishery than.
And
the
that's
gunpowder.
another
It's not even
conversation.
close.
I do have to agree. I do think that being able to patterning fish on the flats and patterning fish on Conowingo is different.
Oh yeah.
But patterning fish on Conowingo, I feel like is very rewarding because you have freaking 40 feet of water all the way up to fishing shallow.
What I like
grass.
about
It's
it,
harder. It's
Right?
definitely
It's just,
harder.
Yeah. It's just harder.
it's
and so-
harder
difficult.
and it's
But
time
there's
of year
good,
dependent.
There's good class Maryland bass up
It's decent,
up in
yeah.
the pond. There's 6-pound smallmouth up there.
I don't know.
Yeah,
They're there.
one
They might be there.
They're
in the
there.
winter, in the fall, yes.
Yeah, they might be there.
They're there.
There are 7-pound largemouth up there though.
Yes.
They're up there. My buddy Randy caught one spring out at the mouth of the bay on the right down by the dam.
Hopkins. Yeah.
At the mouth of Hopkins, he caught a 7-pounder down there on that point one day on a crankbait.
That's where I caught that 3.5-pound smallmouth.
Yeah. Yep.
I've caught a lot of. I've caught some big fish in there.
On
The biggest
the
fish
old-
I ever. I had
On the
one
old
close
poop
to.
bait.
I had one close to 6 that I lost. That was inside of Hopkins.
Remember we were fishing in there in the fall, and
You
I
had
had
that big smallmouth.
the giant.
Yeah.
That was every bit of a 4.5-pounder. That pissed me off. That thing bent
was
that
like
rod over completely.
Yep, that was a good one. Then that wood on that bank over there, that wood that's always stacked up in there.
Yeah.
I had one on a jig that was close to 6, and yeah, I dumped it right at the boat.
Largemouth.
Yeah, big giant. I mean, it's the biggest largemouth that I've ever had on a line up there.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, courtesy is so lacking these days. Like, and I'm not saying that like if I'm fishing a grass flat that like nobody else is allowed to fish a grass flat, or
Tag
if I'm
'em,
fishing
Martin. Tag 'em.
if I'm fishing a bank that nobody else is allowed to fish a bank. But give people a reasonable amount of space.
Right.
Or if they're fishing a bank, pull in behind them.
Right.
Don't go 50 yards in front of them and start fishing. Pull in behind them, or say, "Hey, do you mind if I fish behind you?" If you're fishing,
Hey, what's up, Matt? Thanks for joining, brother. Happy 4th of July.
if you're fishing a grass flat, be respectful of the people that are fishing there. If somebody's fishing a grass edge, don't pull in front of them. Because they're working a grass edge. They may be working up and down the grass edge. Don't muddy up the water. Don't muddy up the water for them. If it's low tide and it's shallow as shit, don't muddy up the water that they're fishing. Like, that's just a dickhead thing to do. Give somebody. My general rule of thumb is like, if we cast directly at each other, like our baits should never cross.
Right.
Like, that's
Yeah.
how much space you should give.
Yeah.
Which is probably about 60 to 75 yards at the minimum if
Yeah,
you're out on a
yeah.
grass flat.
Right. Because if we're talking about frogs, I can throw a frog almost 50. So for me, that number's like 100 yards. Like
Exactly.
Minimum.
100 yards is like that's my number.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be within 100 yards of somebody else.
Right.
Oh, changing it up, going with the summer ale.
Go with a little summer ale action here.
Samuel.
Samuel.
But yeah, it bugs me that like there's nobody has respect for other anglers.
It never changes. It's consistent. It gets worse.
You know what's
And I don't see a taper. So, and it got worse with COVID because we had more people out on the
Here's
water.
the-
So then you had more boats, more kayaks, yada,
More
yada, yada.
new boaters.
More new boaters, more ignorant people. But I haven't seen the taper of these people that it spiked because of COVID. But I haven't really seen it start to come back down that slope yet. It is still like either plateaued or going up.
dude? I went
From
to
what I'm noticing.
I got off work early and went to Tidings on like a Tuesday. So I got up there at like 3:00. There were like 15 bass boats in the parking lot on a Tuesday at 3:00.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
There's no taper.
Yeah,
But-
just taking work calls from the bass boat. That's all.
So the funny thing is that is a relatively local thing.
Oh, yeah.
If you go fish the shore. Like, you fish the shore rivers that like a lot of the Delaware guys fish. That it doesn't happen.
Right.
If you're fishing a bank and somebody like you see somebody come in that are like you're fishing a stretch of wood and you see somebody come around the bend like they're coming to that wood, they'll just turn off and they'll go somewhere else. Right. I've never had a run-in with somebody on the Eastern Shore.
Speaking of the shore, have there been any big bags or like decent bags come out of the shore that anyone's heard of this year? Not including the sass, of course.
Not big bags.
Like
I saw
15 plus.
I saw 15. It took 15 to win the. There was a Open on the Nanacoke a couple weeks ago. It took 15 to win.
Team tournament?
I think so, yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
That's a pretty big bag on Nanacoke,
hell yeah. Especially this time. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's hard to catch a big bag, a bag that size this time of year on the Nanacoke. Fall, different story. Like you get into like late September, and you 15-pound bags are regular. Mm-hmm. But this time of year, it's pretty tough. So I mean that was a good bag. I haven't seen anything come. I haven't seen any results out of like the chop tank or anything.
Is Maryland Bass Nation going over there at all this year? They're going to the Pocomoke, right? At the end of the year,
championships on the Pocomoke. Okay. So I'll be down there.
Yeah, I might try to get down there with you for a day or two. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can take off all week. I don't know if I can take off all week because I'm taking off the entire week of the tournament because the tournament's on Thursday and Friday. So that kind of limits my...
Why wouldn't you just go that week?
I am.
Oh, okay.
But I want to go down 2 weeks before so that I'm not worried about trying to learn how to navigate it.
Oh, I gotcha.
You know what I mean?
But the river, I don't think that river's that big, right? Like,
No,
it doesn't fish big. Like you can't really run a whole lot of places.
I'm going to scan the entire river.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, let me know what days you're not doing that. And I'll
whatever day you come down, we'll come down. We'll fish.
Okay. Cool.
Whatever day you want. Whatever day you can come down. If it's like a Monday, like I'm either taking off like Monday and Tuesday. I'm either taking off all week or I'm going to take off like a Monday and Tuesday. I know you're off on Mondays.
Yeah, Monday. So Monday would be good. I'd drive down there for a day just on a Monday.
If you want to come down,
it's in October, right?
It'll be so I'll be going down the end of September, beginning of October.
Okay, I'll be
2 weeks before the tournament.
Cool, that'll be fun. Yeah, I've never fished it. I've driven over it a few times. It looks cool as shit.
I went to school down there. I've been down there. I've been on it like a couple of times. Like been like down by it a couple of times, like to the state park. But I've never actually fished there. So I'm gonna spend a week down there just learning where everything is.
I heard that back in the day that used to be a lot of big fish in that river. Like back in like the 80s, 70s, and 80s. So when I say this, the old man that works at the Dick's in Hunt Valley in the fishing department, Mr. Rick, real good guy. He talks about the Eastern Shore all the time. He's like, dude, back in the day, the Pocomoke used to be the big fish capital of the world. But
you get some big bags there in the springtime.
Really? Like 20s and...
Greg Alexander, who is a very, very, very good fisherman, and now he is beyond the level of the average fisherman. He had 20. I think he said he told me he had one spring he was down there and his best 5 went 21 pounds.
That's awesome. That's a great Eastern Shore bag for sure.
But
that's a great bag, period. Especially on the Eastern Shore.
But the rest of the year when they're not spawning, it's like 10 pounds to win.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, I mean, I think the river itself is pretty deep. Like the channel of it's like 30 feet, right?
It's like chop tank.
Okay. Well, the chop tank's
so like
15 to 20, yeah. What's the tide swing? 2 feet?
I'm not even sure. I've never been there, so I don't know.
Have you ever fished the Delaware River?
Like, no.
I heard it sucks, and the tide swing is like 6 feet. Like that sounds ridiculous.
It does have a 6-foot tide swing.
That sounds awful.
And I talked to Jedry one time because he fished a regional up there, and he said that they had a big storm and the water was like chocolate milk and it was super high, like flood tide. There's like all this water coming down, and he found this like rock jetty, and he said it's like loaded with fish, and he's like, this is awesome. Like, man, I might be able to win this tournament off this. And he gets there in the tournament and it's out of the water.
Oh my god.
they're like, it's completely out of the water.
Wow. That sucks.
But if you know that, like, if you know the, Mike Santor told me, like, if you know that river, like, especially in like the wintertime, like you catch quality bags out of it because of the tide swings. Because there's so much current in the wintertime, like they're not going to be in the current.
Right.
So there's very specific areas that they'll be in. and they'll load up in those areas. So you can go there and catch, 20, 30 fish in a trip. You go out for an afternoon, you catch 20, 30 fish.
Wow.
In the middle of winter, because they're all just like stacked in one area.
That's awesome.
I've never had one of those winter days before, but I've heard some of those magical days in the winter.
I love fishing in the wintertime.
Dude, I've heard that.
I just can't stand the numb fingers.
That does suck.
So I have specific conditions. The high for the day has to be over 40 degrees, so 40 degrees or over, and the wind can't be blowing. And no rain. I won't fish in the rain. I won't fish in the wind. It can be cloudy. It can be cold.
I go fishing that.
If it like 38,
Just take the old spinning rod out and throw a little mushroom jig around.
If it's like 37, 38 degrees, and there's no wind blowing, it's not that bad.
Can't be a bunch of ice on the water either. I'm not ice breaking my way.
Oh no. Water's got to be clear. I'm not breaking through ice. But some of the best days that I've had, on the Upper Bay, 37-degree water.
Yeah, that is one of the good parts, Jason. No one's in your way. You're right about that.
That's my favorite part. There's no other boat there. You might see.
You
one
might have
other boat.
3. You know what? Who you always see? Uncle Ed. Uncle Ed is a
on the
goddamn
Gunpowder,
legend.
yep, all the time.
He is always out there.
On the Upper Bay, it's J.R. Iverson.
Yeah.
It's the only other person I see out there in the wintertime. I go out in
just
January.
smashing-
I'll see one other boat, and it's JR.
Smashing 8 and 9 pounders all the time, from what he tells us.
Oh yeah, 9s, 10s. He catches double digits every week.
I do think he catches a lot of fish. I just don't think he has a scale.
I agree.
I do think he catches.
I watched him catch. I was perch fishing back in Rumsey one day in the
He's a
wintertime.
big finesse fisherman. He's a big finesse fisherman.
He was whacking fish.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that he catches fish. But I saw the fish that he was catching, and he never said that he was catching giants or anything like that when I talked to him. But he said he had caught 13. He had caught 13 bass, and I saw him catch a couple 3-pounders.
I don't know much about the guy, but he's a badass. From the little bit that
dude, he fishes in a pond prowler.
So he fishes in a pond prowler. He's got a really nice John boat set up, and then the only other thing that I'll even say, just because it's just public knowledge, but dude, he went from that blue Chevy. He got that big ass black jacked up Chevy
lifted. Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, bro,
caught me off guard.
I don't even you're 72. I'm like, aren't you gonna have problems getting in that?
Who are we talking about again?
Uncle Ed.
Uncle Ed.
Down in the Gunpowder. The guy that fishes out of the pond prowler, the old guy.
Pond prowler.
Got the little plastic
Pond
boat.
prowler,
Shit.
He drives that black lifted truck.
I think I've seen that before.
He used to drive a blue Chevy 1500.
Huh.
And it was a nice truck. And then this year, he got this big lifted Chevy.
Dude, he fishes all over the place. He fishes everywhere. He's been fishing a long time.
I've never seen him anywhere but the Gunpowder.
He fishes. Well, he was talking last time I talked to him. He was talking about Deep Creek. We'll be up Deep Creek for the next
Oh, I can
week
see
or
that.
so.
I only
so
go up there
stuff like
once
that,
a year.
shit like that. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't.
He's retired.
I wouldn't see him.
I'll tell you what, that's another place that is will pop off randomly with some giants. Deep Creek has some gigantors in that place, dude.
Yeah,
monsters.
The last SQT that I fished out there, Ed Riley had a 7 1/4.
Yeah, because I remember John Jedry won it with a 6-pounder and didn't get lunker.
No, he did not win it.
I thought he did.
No, he had 17 pounds and thought he had 17 pounds, thinking I'm good, and Ed came in with almost 19.
Oh Jesus! Wow, all largemouth, right? Because something about that, something about the smallmouth in there. They're like a higher river strain or something. They don't get big.
That's what Ed told me. That's what Ed Riley said. That the smallmouth that were stocked in there came from the Ohio River, and they're just a smaller. It's a smaller strain of smallmouth.
Interesting.
The biggest smallmouth I've ever seen out of there, my dad actually caught it, was 3.5.
Wow.
My dad caught a 3.5 randomly. He threw a freaking tube out into the middle of a bay. I'm skipping docks, right? In one of the little bays. And he throws a tube out into the middle of a bay. There's some grass out there, and catches a 3.5-pound smallmouth.
Yeah, I haven't fished up there in a while. I like fishing up there. It's a pretty small lake. The thing about it is you can go up there in that mid-September and it's already starting to cool off, and you can get a lot of big fish shallow.
Yeah, I like October. October's first or second week of October is always fun up there. You can catch. You can fish deep. You can fish shallow. You know, you can throw a jerk bait, you can skip docks. You know, there's so many different things that you can do up. You can fish grass because the grass is still up then.
Right. But they
There's so
have
many
that
different things you
weird
can do.
grass. They have that tall kelpy looking grass.
I've never caught a bass out of that.
I don't know what the hell it's called, but I've catch a lot of
it's
pike
almost,
out of it.
It's almost
but-
like perch grass.
yeah.
But I've never caught a bass out of it.
Yeah.
Now they also have tons of eelgrass and tons of milfoil there too, and I've definitely caught bass out of that. But that kelpie stuff, I've never caught a bass out of it.
Yeah. And it grows deep. It grows in like 25 feet of water. Like it shit goes real deep.
Yeah, it's crazy. One of the best days that I had out there was it was the first time that I went out there and I was flipping milfoil in like 11 feet of water.
Oh yeah.
Like, and the milfoil's topped out. And it was awesome.
What's
And
the
we
deal with
cracked them.
Yakagani? Because the Bass Nation's going up there this year.
Deep, clear. By the time they get up there, it'll probably be drawn way, way, way down. So, which makes it a little pretty difficult.
Really?
But it'll probably be drawn down. I think they draw it down 50 feet
Wow, that's a lot.
or something crazy.
Is there any largemouth in that place, or is it mostly smallmouth?
It's mostly smallmouth. I don't know if there's any largemouth in there, to be honest. I've never fished it. I've always wanted to. I've heard, and that's one of the reasons that I want to fish it, that there are big smallmouth in there.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think of like what.
Like Conowingo class. Like,
Right.
you know, like where you can catch like 3 and 4 pound smallmouth.
Interesting. Yeah, because I know the Bass Nation's going back up there this year, but
Yeah, Martin Lake cabbage. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like the same stuff. But for some reason, like out there, like on St. Clair, bass live in it. Here, they do not.
Let's see. Let's go to the spinning wheel of summer baits.
The spinning wheels. Okay, go for it.
spinning
all right.
wheel.
So I have put some good summertime lures on there. Whatever it lands on, let's
what we're gonna talk
give a tip or something of that nature
All right.
about one of those baits.
Okay, I'm down.
Let's bring up the wheel.
The wheel.
Wheel.
The wheel.
Wheel.
Wheel. Where's
Wheel.
it? Where's the wheel?
Is there a song? Hold on. I have a song before we spin the wheel. I have to play the wheel spinning theme song.
The Wheel of Fortune.
No. It's better than that. It's not from Wheel of Fortune.
From Jeopardy.
It's from The Price is Right. Hold on, I'm pulling it up. But Chad's also pulling it up. This is if anyone
Can you
gets
make
this
that bigger?
right.
My old ass can't read that.
If anyone gets the song, the theme song right, drop it in the comments. You get a high five.
Blow that up. I can't see. I can't read that shit.
Hang on a second.
I'm old, man. Come on.
You must give me a second.
I can make out one of those. I definitely can't read what's in that blue one.
It'll change. Okay, let's bring out the wheel. Okay, here's the wheel.
We're gonna make that a little bigger. So
Damn it. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, I guess this is the appropriate time. Who knows what this is from?
Okay, so this says swim jig over here in the light blue in the top.
why does it have?
What is this?
Why does
Just
it have?
go.
You have.
Good God.
Just take weedless out so you can actually read it.
Someone has to know what this is from.
Hang on. Tony, what are you doing?
It's the theme song,
I
damn
don't
it.
know what to click on anymore.
Damn it.
Oh, it swapped everything back. No, it didn't.
It's about to come up.
Can't you change it over here?
No, it doesn't matter.
This is the part that everyone knows. You've heard it before.
What?
That's from the mountain climber game. And
There, yep. Paul's got it. The Price is Right yodeler.
Tip on a frog. All right, turn that shit off. I don't want to hear that anymore. I don't want to hear that
Frog.
ever again in my
Are
life.
we talking frogs or frogs and toads or just frogs? What do we?
I was thinking more hollow body frogs.
Hollow body frogs. Okay.
I was thinking more hollow body frogs.
Well, the secret's out, but I'll wait for Paul to finish before because
So-
mine's technically a hollow body frog too.
That's a toad.
But it's a hollow body.
Doesn't matter.
Toad.
That's a toad. It's not a. it's a different
The
class.
Toad Thumper?
No, the Stanley Top Toad.
That's a different.
The Toad Thumper's also hollow
That's
body.
a soft plastic frog.
No,
The Stanley Top Toad is hollow body.
With kicking legs.
Yes.
Yes, but it is hollow body. It floats.
There's a couple
doesn't count.
different
It's a
brands
Toad.
of that.
It's a toad. I'm calling it a toad. Anyway, the Toad Thumper is actually a hollow body frog. It's not a toad at all.
So we're talking about frogs here for a second, and I think that is a great thing to land on for right now because frogs are incredibly relevant, especially out on the flat. The frog bite is insane right now. So let's break into frogs a little bit here.
So my main, are we each just going to give like one tip? Is that how we're going to do this?
I think that's how it's working. I think so.
A tip of whatever we think is worth tipping.
Like each one of us, though? Like each one will give us, like, is that how we're doing this? Just one?
Yes,
one tip each?
unless you covered everything that I was going to tip in one talk.
Definitely not, because I throw it. One of the things that I have learned over the years is
And I'm going to do some like basic tips because it makes a difference.
Don't limit yourself to throwing a frog on grass.
Good point. It's a very good tip, actually.
No, yeah, never.
You can
tip.
You can throw a frog. You don't need grass to throw a frog.
Like and share.
You can throw it on. You can throw a frog on wood. You can skip a frog under docks. You can throw a frog anywhere that you think a topwater bite might be good. That's my tip.
Yeah, I fully agree. Don't ever
Don't
ever look past throwing a frog over top of a lay down.
Don't
something
limit,
of that nature.
Don't limit your opportunities with a frog.
Nope. One of my big tips with a frog, man. Your hookup ratio with a frog. Me and you kind of talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
But always check your hooks, man. Make sure those hooks aren't at a downward angle. You can always grab a pair of pliers, bend those hooks out just a little bit. You don't want to bend them out so much that they're catching grass all the time, but bend those hooks out a little bit, and that can really greatly improve your hookup ratio when you're throwing a hollow body frog. And I don't have so much experience with throwing like a soft plastic frog with the dual hook, but I imagine it would have somewhat of a similar effect.
You text pose them. Just like if you're text posing any soft plastic, you do the same thing.
So that is something that I would say is very key for a lot of your frog bites.
To add on
bend
to
those
that,
hooks up.
And what I showed you a couple weeks ago is you want
which I've known about, by the way.
If you take your fingers, like if this is your frog, and you go like this, you want those hooks, like Chad said, you don't want to be catching grass, but you don't want to have to compress that frog to get those hook points. You want like just a slight little bit of compression on the frog to expose those hook tips.
Yep.
And your hookup ratio will go.
You don't want to drag your finger across the top and just go right across it. You want to have a little bit of snag as you go across the top of that frog.
Yeah, if you just put a little bit of weight, and it should catch your finger.
Yep.
Like just the slightest little bit of weight.
And now we're going to go to Tony, who frog fishing. In my opinion, Tony loves the frog.
Tony puts frogs in his butt.
I'm really interested to see what Tony's tip of the night is. So pay close attention here.
All right, it's a frog tip, but it's not a frog tip.
This is frog tips, though.
The follow-up bait for when they miss the frog is not. It doesn't have to be a Senko.
No.
You'd be surprised. So many people, that's all they throw. The first thing, oh my God, he missed it. Oh, Senko, here it is. Right? It doesn't have to be that way. My follow-up bait for a frog is a jig.
I have mine too.
It is a jig. Why? Because if he eats it, and I hook him, I don't care what he's in, I'm getting him out of it. Right? Like, let's think of it like this, right? We fish a lot of grass with a frog. You throw that frog, let's say it's a 5-6 pounder, right? He blows up the frog and misses it. You throw your Senko in, even if you upgraded your leader for 12-pound test on your Senko because you're fishing it around grass, which I think is pretty normal, right? 12 to 15.
18.
For the Senko?
In grass, yeah.
Okay. Most people are gonna, like me personally, but like most people are gonna say the highest they're gonna go is 12, maybe 15 with a Senko in grass. I like the jig because it's on 18 to 20. right? If he eats the frog, he's gonna eat whatever falls in that hole next. It's the jig. He'll eat the jig, and you have a better rod to get the fish out of the grass, regardless of the line size. That's my tip.
Man,
you follow up on it. Throw a Senko.
I agree that you don't always have to follow up with a Senko. But the amount of follow-up fish I have caught off of a Senko after they missed a frog, I'm not throwing anything other than a Senko.
But what else have you thrown?
Now it matters though, whether it's wacky rigged or Texas rigged.
But what else have you thrown?
You know what my main follow-up bait is?
Drop shots.
Not
drop shot. I'm sorry. I've thrown
jig?
like shaky heads, shit like that behind it.
Frog.
Well,
You know what? That also happens too. Like if you don't follow it up with it, for me, if I don't follow it up with a Texas rig weightless worm or like a Nico.
Joe said his follow-up bait's a 9-inch glide bait.
Yeah, for me it's
in the
jig.
grass. That's not going to work though.
For me, it's a swim jig or whatever jig I have on the deck.
I want that bait to hit the water, and I want that bait to come down and sit in front of that fish's face. I don't want it to just go down there and bury itself in the grass.
So
that's my theory.
Here's my theory on follow-up baits, and here's why my follow-up bait is
and this is a fantastic conversation.
Is 90% of the time a frog. If I'm fishing a frog, I am on a pattern for fishing a frog. How much time am I wasting by trying to make a follow-up cast to a fish that missed my frog when I could make 3 more casts with a frog down here and potentially the same
That's
same
why
percentage
you should
of
make
catching it.
one follow-up cast, and if nothing happens, just move on. Pick the frog back up again.
Okay. Or I could just keep throwing a frog. Like, if there's fish in the area and they're eating a frog, why wouldn't I just keep throwing a frog?
But if you have a high
on those days,
if you have a much higher percentage chance of hooking into that frog if you follow it up.
But I'm talking
with
about
a bait.
I mean,
it's worth it, dude. I'm telling you right now, like the amount.
I'm
of
saying
times
90. I'm not
out,
saying
like,
that I don't do it.
Yeah.
Because I do it like I usually flip creature bait into there.
I'm not saying you don't always have to,
but like usually that's only if it's slow.
I'm telling you right now,
that was going to be my point.
That
was going to be my point.
70% of the time,
it works every time.
I'm telling you, 65, 70% of the time, if I'm throwing a frog and I have a fish blow up on my frog and it misses, and Steve picks up his follow-up bait,
he's going to eat
and throws it over there, it gets eaten.
Sure, but I agree with you.
He hooks into it, and it's hard to argue that. I'm just like
so my thought process with this.
This is the way that I'm looking at. Like, there's a million ways to cut a chicken's head off.
It works really well. I think it works really well if you're fishing if you're fishing like a team tournament, and somebody else is throwing something different. My experience, throwing a follow-up bait after a frog blow up, I may get one out of 5 that I miss, I may catch. Because it takes you have to reel. By the time you reel it in,
that could make a difference in your tournament, though.
But by the time you reel it in, and by the time you pick up a different rod and you cast out there, the fish is gone. Because you have a very it's just like when you see a fish blow up on bait. I've just seen
so many times where the fish is still in the same position.
A very short amount of time when a fish come up busting bait, you have a very short amount of time to throw in there for them to actually eat.
Yeah.
So if I can't reel it in and get my bait back out there fast enough, I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to keep chucking my frog.
See, I always follow up with the follow-up with the
if it was close to the
if
boat,
happens,
maybe.
If
it's close to a boat, I'll throw it down. I'll flip a creature bait in there.
It's one thing if you got a hook in its mouth or something on the blow up. You got a hook in its mouth or something, it's over. It's not eating anything. It's moving on. But I've seen so many times where we've thrown a follow-up bait at one hole 3 different times, minutes after the original blow up, the fish is still in the same area. He's still there. He didn't move.
Right, but
they don't always just scatter and go somewhere.
Have you ever seen a fish? So watching fish feed,
they become educated.
So when you watch a fish feed on real bait, not on your bait, but on real bait. So if you see a fish come up and grab a bluegill or a minnow off the surface, does that fish go right back to where it was? I've almost never seen a fish go right back to where it was when it tried to eat something. I mean, that fish will dart. That fish darts.
I don't. It depends.
History,
it depends.
History to me of going back and re-hitting that same spot with a Texas. Me too. With a weightless Texas rig has proved to me that they don't move as far as you think they do because, like I said, 65,
not saying they
70%
won't
of
come
the
back.
time, they come back and they eat that worm.
I'm not saying they won't come back. I won't say it's definitely 75%. I think is way high. Maybe 20 to 25.
I disagree with that point.
It's definitely not that.
In
low.
our scenario, I disagree with that point, and the reason for that is because a lot of times when you have a fish blow up on a frog, we're fishing grass. It's a hole in the grass where the fish comes and eats it. Right? To me, I've located that fish at this point, and I know that fish is eating something. To me, I would rather take my chances putting a jig in there with 20-pound line and knowing I'm going to set the hook and sting him and put that hook through his fucking face versus a wacky rig where if it's a big fish, I have a medium action rod and a lot more things can go wrong. Where if I have a broomstick like a jig rod, and I set the hook on that thing, I have a much better chance of getting him in the bait.
I agree with that.
So
too,
put your
sometimes
Senko.
I think
So
that
put your Senko on a
presentation
bait
is
caster.
different.
Like,
I mean, you could.
Like
you could.
But
I
like,
mean,
what about
Roland Martin fishes a Senko on
Yeah.
40-pound braid and a heavy action rod.
yeah?
You can cast a Senko
definitely
on a bait
do it.
caster. You can
Yeah.
bomb
I mean,
yeah,
a
you
Senko
could.
on a
Especially
bait
if
caster.
you Nico it.
Even without weightless.
Yeah.
Texas rig, weightless.
They're
you can still
heavy worms.
bomb it. They're heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that like a Senko, like I won't. I'm saying short follow up, but 90% of the time I'm going to follow up with a frog, because if I'm throwing a frog, that's the pattern that I'm on, and I'm not abandoning. I don't abandon my patterns very easily.
Yeah.
If it's a tough day, I'm more apt to, if I'm getting regular blowups and I'm on a good frog pattern, I'll keep throwing the frog. If it's a tough day, and well, Tony, you know, being on flats, like we've been out there the same day where you get one bite an hour on a frog.
Right.
I'm more apt to throw a follow-up bait then.
I just don't think that throwing a frog and having a blow up on a frog means that your only pattern means they're eating a frog. I think if you take something of a smaller and slower platform and you throw it in front of their face, they're also going to eat it.
Maybe 20. I say 20 to 25% of the time they may eat it.
I disagree with that, but yeah. But 25, even 50%, if that makes a difference in being able to call smaller fish.
Well, like I said,
it's good.
That's also
It does
I'm
take a
more
lot more time if you're sitting there dinking around with it with a medium freaking spinning rod.
I'm more
you gotta
apt to
troll
do
the
it.
motor over to it and pick it up with a net.
I'm more apt to do it when it's a slow day. Like I said, if I'm getting, if it's one of those slow days where I'm only getting one bite an hour, I'm doing it. But if that's, if say that cast takes me say I miss 4 fish on a frog a day, and that, and that one cast, between reeling it in, casting out, fishing it, reeling it back in, that takes a minute and a half. So that's like 7 minutes of the day. Like I always try to like maximize the amount of time that I'm fishing. And for me, like 7 minutes for what I consider a 20 to 25% chance of getting a bite. And I wouldn't even say catching the fish, getting a bite.
It's worth it to me. If they're not going to eat a frog, like you throw a frog back over them, sometimes they'll come back to that worm. And if that fish is worth putting in your box,
and you don't even know,
it was
but
worth taking the time. There he is. There's Jim. We were wondering where you were at.
But then
buddy.
the other thing is, you don't know that fish you missed was a quality fish.
Yeah,
either.
you don't know.
So
Yeah.
like that, and that adds into the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I catch the fish. I have to, I reel the fish in. I gotta, release it, and whatever. So now I'm wasting more time if it.
Let's say, Jim might have something to say about this because he's down in Florida. He fishes a lot of gross. Jim, we're talking about frog fishing, and if a fish misses your frog, how often are you picking up a follow-up bait like a Texas rig, Senko, Nico rig, jig, drop shot, something of that nature, and following up after that frog blow up to try to catch that fish? Are you just going somewhere else? Are you just going to go back to throwing the frog? Are you following up with a more finesse bait to try to pull that fish out of the same area that the blow up happened?
Thanks.
Never. That's crazy.
See, it's interesting.
Keep on chucking. Like
it's
Martin said.
interesting.
Like Martin said, just keep on chucking.
If
That's
it's
wild
close
to
enough,
me. That's so wild to me.
like if I don't have to troll over to it, like if it's close and it's an easy cast, then yes. But if it's a long cast and I miss it, I'm not gonna troll over there and throw it.
Right.
So,
I'm
but
the same
why
way.
why not pick up that? Why not pick up the Texas rigworm and throw it in the pocket that fish just blew up on the frog?
Well, you also have to look at like if it's a long cast,
Yes, that makes a big difference too.
it's not really effective to throw
if it's
like
a
a
long
Texas
cast.
rig in.
Totally agree. Yeah.
You know, but like Tony said, if it's close to the boat, like I mean, I'll flip a creature bait in there.
Yeah.
Like if it's close and I have one on the deck. If not, like Jim said, I'll throw a frog back in there. If it doesn't eat, I'll just move on.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I cover a lot of water when I fish. Like,
you do,
I don't.
You fish quick.
I don't.
You
I
fish
don't
fast.
stay in. I do not stay in one spot.
Which surprises me.
Frank
for
yelled.
like,
Frank yelled at me the other day yesterday for fishing too fast because I like to cover water. He's like, dude, by the time I get my spinner bait in, it's behind a boat.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well.
I've noticed. I've noticed a
Cast
lot.
farther forward.
I slow down. I've slowed down a lot. The
see,
last
Jim,
2
I just
years.
see a different pattern
I speed.
personally up here.
I've sped up.
I slow down like a lot.
I look at it this way. I'm going to put my bait into as many high percentage areas as possible throughout the day. Like, that's my goal. And if a fish is going to eat, a fish is going to eat. And if I, like, to me, it's a numbers game. So I'm trying to make as many casts into high percentage areas as possible versus throwing into one high percentage area. And so let's say, I'm not saying I won't make, 3, 4, 5 casts to a piece of structure or something, but am I going to sit there and just try to weed out, like, or, try to finesse in like one bite off of a piece of structure in an hour? Or am I going to hit 10 pieces of structure in that hour? Like, I feel like hitting 10 pieces of that similar structure in that hour gives me a way better percentage chance of catching a fish versus sitting on one piece of structure for an hour. Now, it's different if you,
one piece.
Now, it's different if you know they're loaded. Like, if you know they're loaded up on there, and that's a little different. But if I'm trying to run a pattern, like if I'm on Conowingo and I'm trying to run a pattern, I'm looking at hitting as many high percentage spots as possible throughout that day. If that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, it does.
That's my
So the thing
logic
that
behind
keeps
fishing.
me from flying over top of everything is like, how do you know you're throwing the right thing? You could go right over top of a giant patch of fish, unless obviously.
Well, I'm also talking
grabs
about
or live scope or some.
I'm
shit
also
like
talking
that,
about
but,
tournament fishing too.
Well, right,
And by
but,
tournament, like if I don't go.
How can you just throw a chatterbait and say, okay, nothing ate this chatterbait, so they're not here, and just fly right past it? You know what I mean?
It doesn't mean they're not there. It's just if that's what I know that I need to fish to catch the quality fish that I need, I'm just going to keep throwing it, and I'm going to hit as many areas as possible. Now, decision making is the most important thing in bass fishing, right? Tony, you'll agree with that, right? You'll agree with
100%.
that?
Positive,
The difference is-
positive mindset is the most important.
That's
thing
number
in
2.
bass fishing.
That's number 2. But decision making is number 1.
If you need to be mentally aware enough to know based on your conditions that chatterbait's not the thing to throw. So you should know pretty quickly throughout the day, I don't need to be throwing a chatterbait, I need to be throwing a Senko.
Right.
Based on your conditions.
But what condition determines that for you? Wind?
Different times of year,
Wind,
wind,
you know what I
temperature,
mean?
water level. It's all pieces.
See,
of
generally, I
puzzle.
go to a bait that it doesn't move as much when you have like a slack tide that's not moving as much, not as much wind. I like throwing a chatterbait or a spinnerbait, something of that.
Well, it depends. I mean, current,
Like
you
with
know,
wind,
current,
water movement, current.
wind, water temp. I mean, it's all relevant. All of your conditions are relevant. It's not just one of your conditions that's relevant. They're all relevant. That's the hardest thing about bass fishing or fishing in general. We're talking about bass fishing, but this applies to literally every kind of fishing.
All fishing.
You have to know what conditions line up with what you with what you need to fish. If it's slow and it's a high tide, I need to flip, or I need to throw I won't even say flip. I need to throw a slow moving bait. It's a high tide. It's, there's not a lot of water movement. There's no wind. I need to throw a slow moving bait because I need to soak it a little. Doesn't mean
You need to match what's going on around you.
And that doesn't mean I can't fish fast. Because I can fish a piece of structure and hit all the casts that I need to make with a slow moving bait and still move on. I don't need to sit on that piece of structure for, I don't need to flip that log for 45 minutes.
In my mind, I've always been curious, how do you know how long you should let how long should you let a jig soak before you even bump it?
Till
You know
a
what
fish
I mean?
picks it up.
How long should you let that thing sit there?
Till he picks it up.
It
depends.
You can sit there for 30 minutes if you wanted to.
I've let it.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
To me, because if you have to let it sit that long,
they're not active.
That is not an active feeding fish. There's always active feeding fish somewhere. So if you run through enough cover, you're going to find, like, say, and this is something that I don't want to take credit for saying this, but because this is something that Eric McNulty said one time. So I'll give him,
Eric?
No. Local Upper Bay.
Okay.
Really good on Conowingo too.
Really good on Conowingo. If you can hit, if you know the fish are on dock pilings, if you can hit 300 to 400 dock pilings in a day, you're gonna get 5 bites.
Yep. But
versus if you stay on one dock and you spend 25 minutes on one dock and you're not getting a bite, well, now you just wasted 25 minutes. But if I can hit 400 in a day, I'm going to get 5 bites. Like the law of averages says I'm probably going to get 5 bites if I know that they're on dock pilings. That's why I fish so fast. And again, just because I fish fast doesn't mean my bait's moving fast.
I agree with that, Jim. And I even think 30 seconds is a long soak time. That's a long soak.
30 seconds is a hell of a long soak.
That's a long soak.
Me personally,
I ain't never let a bait soak for 30 seconds in my life.
Dude, I have definitely let some swim baits soak for that long. Makes a difference in the swim bait community.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Let's say you're fishing a point and you know you got fish, scoping or not, in 15 feet of water on a rock pile off a point. There's three, let's say yours in scope. You can see 3 fish on there. You know they're 5 pounds because you caught them the day before in practice. You know they're there. That's 15 pounds right there if you catch all 3. How long you sitting on it before you leave?
So the other thing that I want to mention about fishing fast, just because I fish something and leave it quickly doesn't mean I'm not coming back to it.
Okay, fair point. Yeah, I mean, it's a very fair point.
Because you should be able to tell, especially now that we have live scope, you should be able to tell if those fish are going to eat.
Oh yeah,
within 5 minutes.
Yep, for sure.
Joe.
So, if you know,
That's
like,
funny.
It's as long as needed. Like that, and this is where the decision making comes in. Is there's 3 5-pounders on this log, or there's 3 good fish on this log. Like now you have to play the game in your head of risk and reward. Okay, if I sit here for 3 hours, I'm gonna get 3 bites and they're gonna be 4-pounders. Versus, okay, well, in that 3 hours, I could also hit these 20 other spots, and then I might catch 1 4-pounder off of every 5th one. So you have to be able to make that decision in your head. Now, maybe there a lot of things come into making that decision too. Maybe I don't have anything else. Maybe I didn't find anything else in practice. If I didn't find anything else in practice, I'm probably going to be more apt to spend longer on that log that I know has good ones on it. If I know there's multiple fish on a piece of structure, I'm probably going to sit there and fish it longer. But a lot of times, if you're fishing like, say you're fishing like docks, there might be one fish on that dock.
Right.
Well, so is it worth you spending an hour on that one dock to catch that one fish that's on that dock?
I think it depends.
I know Aaron Martin spent all day on a dock.
But wasn't just one fish on that dock.
No.
The dock was loaded with fish.
I can tell you right now, for the bite that Miles and I have been fishing on Conowingo, like I'll pull up to a spot and I will throw 4 baits. I will throw 4 baits that I know they're going to eat one of the 4.
You make a couple casts with each.
And they're either not there or they're not eating. And then I move on.
Right.
Like, but I will now, I don't know how long it's going to take to throw those 4 baits, but I'm going to fish it pretty thoroughly with those 4 baits before I move. And then, okay, they're either not on this spot or they're not eating or it's different fish here or whatever the deal. But like my thing is I have a series of baits, like 3 or 4 at the most, that I'm confident if I put any one of these 4 in front of a fish that may or may not be feeding, he's going to get a bite.
Because that's based on, and that comes back to like basing it on your practice too.
Yes.
Like, so that, okay, I have the same conditions that I had in practice. They should eat one of these 4 baits. Or if the wind's blowing, I'll catch them on these 2 baits. If the water's calm, I can catch them on these 2 baits. So, whatever it might be. But that is the point of practice, is to being able to understand what the fish are doing at that given time of the year, and being able to narrow your bait selection down to a few baits.
Right. No, I
this
agree.
came from Frog Talk. I like that.
Yeah, I know. It's good conversation.
I know. That's what I'm like. So hold up. So we're supposed to like give a good tip about a frog.
We gave 3
and
good tips.
Tony just started talking about follow-up baits, and it just spiraled. But that's what we do on Bass and Beer Radio. Should we spin the wheel again?
Wait, hold on. I got to play the song.
No, you don't have to play the song.
I like the song.
You don't have to play the song.
The song doesn't match the wheel. Like, you need the Wheel of Fortune song.
It's because I have ADHD. That's
Let's
why.
bring up the wheel.
Spin the wheel again. Let's talk about something else.
Hold up. I got to put these away.
You can leave that one up there. Or maybe move it outside of the comments. Or put it behind the comments.
Come on. Here we go.
Don't land on frogs again.
It probably will.
Is it going to stop?
One of these days.
Nope. Spin it again.
Okay. Spin it again.
Don't land on swim jig.
You will talk about the swim jig.
I suck with swim jigs.
Dude, the swim jig, man. I like a swim
Frog.
jig.
Oh, buzzbait.
Buzzbait. Okay, this is a good one. This is a good one.
My absolute favorite.
And it's a tough one in my opinion.
It is my favorite lure. It's my favorite way to catch fish. 100%. If you ask me 100 times, I will tell you 100 times my favorite bait is buzzbait.
I can attest for this.
Do you throw it on fluorocarbon or braid, and why?
Fluorocarbon.
Why?
Because it has stretch.
Okay. Why is that significant?
Because you'll pull it out of their mouth.
Okay.
I am very jacked up when I fish, and that little bit of extra stretch gives me a better hookup ratio.
See, I like it on braid, but that's just me.
I'll pull them out of their mouth. I'll pull it out of their mouth on braid. I do 18 to 20 pound fluorocarbon.
Let's see. Back to the comments
Heavy or
really
medium
quick.
Heavy, medium
heavy.
Oh, wow. Okay. So like a jig rod, essentially.
Yeah, like a plastics rod.
Cool.
7.3, usually. My 7.3 that I throw buzz baits on is currently broken, so
That sucks.
I've been throwing on 7.1, but 7.1 medium heavy, 18 pound fluorocarbon. That's my
Throwing mine on the 7.3 medium heavy on a 30-pound braid, I believe.
Speaking of fishing rods, Chad, what is that absolute sledgehammer handle that you have over there?
Oh, you see? Wait, the spinning rod?
No, the other one.
So that is a Dobbins Fury swim bait where the tip was broken off and then repaired by.
So now it's a broomstick.
And then, yeah,
There's
it was,
like no flex
so
in it now.
3 inches of the tip was broken off and then it was repaired by Mr. Tom.
Rest in peace.
and I haven't used it since. But that thing, it lost only 3 inches. It lost 3 inches of the tip.
So
that thing is a hammer. Let's put it that way.
I have to look at my buzzbait, and this will be my tip for buzzbaits. So Jim said braid only. Trick is don't look at it. I disagree because it's very important to look at your buzzbait and what your buzzbait is coming by,
and what it's doing.
You shouldn't just straight reel a buzzbait. If you will get more bites if you're coming by, like say you're fishing like scattered grass.
That paws next to like a grass.
Not pausing it. I'll hit the reel handle real hard, so it goes.
Yeah.
It'll just go next to it. You will get so many more bites if you do something different than just straight reeling it in.
I actually do a similar thing where I keep my rod tip. I fish my rod tip up with the buzzbait, and I'll just
tap it. Yep.
Yeah,
I do that
instead of the reel. I'll just
Martin. I'm starting to wonder what that is myself too, because I got a couple
really
rods that need to get done.
There's a guy in Joppatown.
If it doesn't become one of us watching YouTube videos and figuring it out on our own, to be honest with you,
there's a old stoner in Joppatown.
Does he like want his name out there for, or is he trying to just be like low key? Because I would be very curious.
So I can't remember his name. My club president has gotten rods repaired by him before and had him put new guides on certain stuff, but he builds like saltwater rods.
Okay. Rob has a thing. Rob has like a whole rod.
I would like to learn how to do that.
I would too, but to me, like
that's what I was just saying.
The entry,
but I don't want to put in.
I
don't want to put out the like $300 or $400 to in.
It's
equipment.
more than that. It's quite a bit more than that.
You can get away with it.
Yeah, well,
I don't need like a professional setup if I'm just doing like my own rod repairs. To
get like the lathe, I guess was what they call it, and then the threads and all the other shit. Like it's a lot. I mean, I would like to build custom rods, but it's like I would like to do a lot of things. I have a 12 valve Cummins.
But Jim, the
crate
point,
motor
like,
sitting in my garage right now that I would like to do things with. But
hold on one second. So Jim, yes, you cannot look at it and change rhythms, but I want to change that rhythm at specific spots because just changing the rhythm is not important to me. I'm changing I'm making a pop in that buzzbait at very specific places where fish should be holding, whether it be like a little hole in the grass or maybe there's a little thicker clump of grass, something like that. It's very specific places that I want to make that little pop with a rod tip, or you can do it with a reel. I do it with a reel a lot, so I'm very. It may be able to stick in the water if I'm fishing it. In a canal or something that doesn't have grass. I'm very specific for where I change that sound that buzzbait makes.
Speaking of Mr. Tom, did the Memorial Tournament ever take off?
I haven't heard anything.
Nope, didn't hear anything about it.
I would take a day off work for that. Gladly, without hesitation. I don't care where it is. I don't care what the hours are. I don't care what the rules are.
Haven't heard anything about it,
So that's my point on watching your buzzbait is because you want to do that at very, very specific times. So that's my tip on buzzbaits is don't just steady reel your buzzbait.
Yeah.
You got to pop that reel or pop that rod tip or reel that, and you can't do that without looking at it.
My tip for a buzzbait, I'm not somebody that throws a buzzbait too much, but one of the things that I really like to do with a buzzbait that some people might not do is I do like a buzzbait that actually doesn't have a skirt on it.
Mm-hmm.
I like a buzzbait that doesn't have a skirt on it, and I'll just put like a 3.5-inch paddle tail or something like that on it. And I'll just run it like that without a skirt. That's one way that I really like running a buzzbait. I think it creates less drag and maybe possibly looks a little bit more natural. So
get a little extra vibration too from that paddle tail.
Right.
A lot of people run toads on the back of them.
The toad is definitely good. I think a trailer is very key with a buzzbait. It just kind of fills it out a little bit more.
I don't throw a trailer ever. I
On a buzzbait?
either throw no skirt and a toad, or just straight trailer. I never put a trailer on it.
Yeah,
You mean just straight
I
skirt?
will. I'll run a trailer with the skirt.
The old buzz bait with a horny toad on it.
It makes it heavy.
It's a good bait.
You know
the
what
the buzz toad, the KVD buzz toad.
Yeah.
You know what it allows you to do? You know what the main
Skip it.
reason to
Skip it.
You can skip it.
Yep. Like a mofo.
It's very very
Oh, I
hard
like
to-
that, Joe. The bubble gum. Can't go wrong with freaking bubble gum.
It's very, very hard to skip a buzzbait, but you can learn how to do it. It's not easy, and even if you're very good at it, you will still backlash because if that blade hits the water first, you're screwed. It's gonna blow up your reel. And I would say if you're really good at it, every 10th cast, that blade's gonna hit the water first. Like it just like the wind catches it and folds it sideways and it just goes and blows up your reel. But yeah, you said or black. I like white actually. Most of my
White and or black is kind of just what I stay with them. I will do a little tail dip with some chartreuse.
most of my buzz baiting is either I'm very simple on it. I throw 3 colors. I throw white, chartreuse and white, and black. Mm-hmm. I don't throw anything else because honestly, I don't think it matters.
No, I don't think it does either. It's either white or black.
I think the blade color matters a lot more than the skirt color, but we can get into that another time.
Yeah. I really like where these conversations went tonight.
Tony, what's your buzzbaiting tip?
My buzz baiting tip
Is don't throw one.
when you're in grass, which
Throw a frog.
I throw most of it, less is more. And what I say by that is the more and buzz baits have gotten really intricate over the last couple years, and Rob is a tackle junkie. Rob can probably name 15 different buzz baits, but you got your clackers, you got your like I think the Jackal makes one with a propeller on it, the Squeaky Dolphin or whatever.
No, Squeaky Dolphin is made by Reaction Innovations. They don't make it anymore.
Oh,
because I'm just as big as a tackle junkie as Rob is.
What's the one that has a propeller on it? Where it's a clacker, but it's not.
That is the Jackal Firecracker.
Yes.
Okay. So when you're in grass,
Look at me coming in hot.
when you're in grass,
I have one.
less
They
is
suck.
more.
Don't buy one.
The more you have on your buzz bait,
They're not good.
like 99% of the time,
They're too
you don't
loud.
need a clacker. You don't need to do all this fancy shit. Just throw your buzz bait.
Sometimes I will say that pressure makes a big difference.
Yes.
Dude,
on-
I'll tell
on
you
what
what.
kind of buzzbait you need
If
to throw.
River to Sea would have made a weedless Whopper Plopper, it'd have been over.
They
The
still
Whopper
can.
Plopper was such a dominant bait
Still is.
in open water.
Love me some Whopper Plopper. Action.
Yeah, in open water, but it's like, man, like imagine having that platform, just being able to come across some grass.
Buzzbait.
Exactly, but I'm just like,
It's top toad. But no, like
A hollow
less
body.
is more.
Hey, wait, Martin, like laugh out loud. How?
I don't know. I have no idea.
a hollow body Whopper Plopper.
They just made hollow body spooks.
Oh, you know what it is?
They have hollow body poppers.
You know what, Chad? Teckle frog.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Or
you have
the toad runner.
Tackle
The toad
sprinkler.
runner's the same thing.
Tackle sprinkler, the toad runner.
I mean, in a way, the top
sprinker.
toad's the same way. Like,
It's not the same plop, but yes.
No.
The Teckle Sprinker.
Which, by the way, if you don't have the Tackle sprinkler,
Sprinkler.
sprinkler, I'm a pee on you. Doesn't
All right, R. Kelly.
definitely worth having. I would add a couple of them to your arsenal. Tony's a big fan of the Toad Runner. That's Stray Kid?
that's Booyah.
The Booyah Toad. Booyah makes great stuff. I was gonna say that I have thrown a couple of their popping frogs here recently, and dude, they're taking on water so fast. I'm not impressed.
I don't like their popping frogs whatsoever. I don't even like them at all.
Whose?
The
Booyahs.
pad crasher can't
I've
stand them.
always
I hate
loved
them.
Booyahs,
I
dude.
disdain them. Actually,
Always loved Booyahs.
It's actually that's my favorite snakehead bait.
So I mean, for
Because they're
snakeheads, I'll
freaking
throw
dirt
them. But like,
they're a little bit. The pop
They
and
are
pad
smaller.
crusher is a little bit smaller profile.
And Steve is gonna punch me right in my dick face, but it doesn't like. It's hard to beat the K era.
my
That's
issue
like
with the
I think
Toad
that's
Runner.
the best frog on the market.
My issue with the Toad Runner is it's too light. It's too light.
I've called it. I throw the Cara quite a
They
quite a
don't
bit,
have a popping platform, and I don't know why.
but I have caught that. I think there's a place for that smaller profile.
All the time.
Not all the time, because I get more bites throwing a 3/4 ounce live target than I do on the Cara.
See, I
Like
have different.
3.5 inch
I throw
long
like
frog.
I throw that.
I throw
freaking,
a frog this
yeah,
fucking long,
I'm getting a Charlie horse. Live.
and I get more bites on that than I do in most.
Where is it?
It's right here.
I can't see it.
In most
I don't know.
situations.
You want to see it?
Kind of.
Ow.
He's trying to show you his wiener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In most situations, I'm not saying all situations. Like I said, I think there are situations where that smaller profile definitely, like I've experienced that, where that smaller profile is definitely better. But overall, like throughout the year, I get way more bites on a bigger frog.
Dude, one of my favorite frogs is the Mega Bass Big Gabbit frog. And I just don't get the same blow-ups on that Big Gabbit frog that I get on a Cara.
So maybe we're looking at different.
And that Big Gabbit frog is a 2.5, it's a 3-inch frog. It's a big frog.
Yeah.
And it walks like a motherfucker. It's one of the best walking frogs I've ever had.
So maybe it's the. Maybe
We're talking about buzzbaits, goddammit, not frogs.
Maybe it's that you're. We already did our buzzbait talk. No, maybe it's that you're. You're also comparing a popping frog to a very, very, very subtle walking frog.
Yeah, it's
So
definitely like something. It's a
completely-
JDM. It's definitely some
different action.
JDM shit. Like
So if you compare like a small walking frog to a big walking frog, a little bit better comparison because you're throwing the same style.
Dude, that's Spro King Daddy.
And that's bigger than what I throw. So I throw the biggest size live target.
Okay, so like, dude,
which
I'm
is
thinking
more of
about,
like a
so like when I'm
reasonable
thinking
size.
about this, I'm thinking about like, okay, so like the River to Sea Spit Noir. That's a pretty good size frog.
That's a giant popping frog. Yes,
It's a big frog.
not as big as now. Popping frogs, I do throw the big spro.
Those are great frogs too, by the way.
That big spro popping frog. That will.
The King Daddy.
Not the King Daddy. King Daddy's their walking frog, but they have a.
So what is your
bronze-eye
favorite
popping frog.
brand of frog?
The one that works. Live target.
Live Target is what if you're gonna go to the store to buy a frog.
Like if I could only, if you said I could
you're like-
only buy
if you're
one
gonna
brand.
if you're gonna hope they have one brand in stock, you're gonna hope they have Live Target frogs.
Not really, because I fish. Like if you open my box, I've got booyahs.
We all do.
I've got spro. You know. Everything.
I'm saying if you had to pick one,
If I could only fish one brand of frog, like I think that's the best way to put it. Like that's the only one that you can fish for the rest of your life. Live target.
You're not going to throw the lunker hunt frog?
Live target. The live target walking frog and the live
beast
target popping
frog.
Dude, the live target frog that has like the stupid legs on it, like I used to crack me up when people would pull
You mean the Lunker Hunt?
Joe.
Yeah, the lunker
Joe-
hunt
Yeah,
frogs.
you said Live Target.
Joe Chad has some of those toxic frogs.
What's that?
Joe said you need to throw those toxic frogs.
Oh yeah, I throw a couple of them toxic frogs, dude. I've caught a couple on them. I do have the toxic froglet though. It is not the freaking big one.
I know some people
Dude,
swear by
big
the
one
scum
is literally
frog.
like a 6 or a 7-inch paddle tail frog. Like
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like it's crazy.
Martin, I think 90 to 95% of the time, a bass is eating a frog thinking it's a bait fish versus an actual frog.
They make a lot of noise. They're great frogs. I gotta say, he did a good job with those frogs, and they do get bit.
Who makes the toxic frog?
Toxic
Toxic
baits.
baits.
Caesar.
What is it? A six? It's 6.
Travis or something?
They're 6 inches, aren't
Okay.
Oh yeah.
They're 6 inches.
I think the big one's 6 inches.
Yeah, they're massive. But yeah, back to Martin's comment. 90 to 95% of the time, I believe a bass is eating a frog, thinking it's a form of bait fish, not an actual frog in the water.
I don't
yeah,
think they
for sure.
actually know what they're eating when they come up on a frog a lot of times. Depending on the situation. When they're in really heavy grass mat and they're coming through grass mat, they feel commotion on the surface and they eat it.
Yeah,
It could be a freaking bird, a turtle, a frog.
yeah, no, I totally agree.
It doesn't. If it fits in their mouth, they're eating it.
That's kind of what I mean. Like it's
Yeah.
not they don't.
It's a reaction.
They're not eating it because they think it's a frog.
Bradley, what's up, buddy?
That's why
Grab your juice box, pal.
Can I add another tip for frogs?
You can.
Don't pay attention to the color of the top of the frog. The bass can't freaking see it.
True.
If you think it's pretty, the bass don't give a fuck about it. It's the bottom. This
The
is
bottom,
how you know
the
I've
mouth,
had
and the
too many.
sides. Because you do get,
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're walking a frog, you get
Get
that
that
roll.
roll. Yeah.
So the back means nothing. The sides and the bottom are what you want to pay attention to.
Yep.
The back is the cell fisherman.
I agree.
So there's another,
So
there's another
between
frog tip.
black,
But anyway, buzz
white,
baits.
between black, white, and like, dude, the red works really well. But I almost feel like
Black, white,
red.
red.
I almost feel like
Brown.
red.
Also, I'll call it brown instead of red, but
Yeah, I almost feel like it just goes with
brown's
black.
and reddish brown.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like on that same spectrum.
So I have a theory, but I don't want to talk about it. We can talk about it offline.
This is what this is for, open information.
I'm not 100% on it, so I don't want to put it out there.
I feel like it's very close to the same colors and whatnot, but I like red, black, white, and then something with a yellow stomach, I feel like. And that's
Yellow-
that's what you should have in your box. Those 4 colors, and I know it sounds kind of like a lot in one way other than like black and white.
I said black and white.
But there's just too many times I've seen a red frog
white, and
do
red.
good,
I
and
do
there's
prefer
too many
red.
times I've seen something with a yellow belly get bit as well. So
It's very specific to around here, Joe, and I'm not, again, it's a theory. It's a working theory.
everybody tell Paul he sucks.
So, yeah, black, white, and red. I mean, that's really the only 3 colors that I throw.
I do think there's some room for some yellow in there.
Oh, Martin's
I
coming.
do like I actually what the club my club tournament that I won on the Potomac a few weeks ago was a yellow-bodied frog, bluegills.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really what it boils down to, is like matching what they're eating.
You know, I actually don't have any pink frogs, Joe, but
what if the top of the frog
I
says
would 110% throw a pink frog.
Well, if the top of the frog says "eat me," you are buying the very, very best brand of frog that's on the market.
That
And you
is
definitely don't
the-
like men.
The finest.
finest.
Frog. It is finer than frog hair. Let's put it that way.
The official frog of Pride Month.
They also make 100% original hard baits that aren't copied off of anyone, they've never been sued for patent infringement either.
Nope.
Never.
Do
So
they
they're
even
just
do
the
they
best.
actually exist still, or have they folded?
Funny story. I was in Dick's today, and you know what I didn't see? A single pack of Guggen baits.
Really? Which one? Hunt Valley?
Dude, I'm telling
Beller.
you, like Guggen's
Okay.
like going under. I think
That's kind of funny.
that is like not confirmed by any means, but I think Guggen's having some problems. Maybe that's because people think their stuff sucks, but who knows?
Well, I mean, it's low-quality, mass-produced junk.
It is.
I mean,
And
not
it's
that-
overpriced.
Not that there isn't, like...
It is every pond fisherman's dream, is what it is.
And they had like one good. I think people just kind of wised up. They had one good bait, and the rest of their baits kind of sucked.
What was that? The freaking
The
soft plastic
the Bandito
bug?
Yeah.
And what was that a copy of?
So it was
It's like
actually
a brush hog type of thing.
no. It's more like a rage bug.
Oh, okay.
Kinda. It look okay. So in my
It's not
opinion,
shaped the same
It
way.
looks
It's
more like
definitely-
it looks more like a D bomb. It just has more appendages on it.
Well, no, because it's got the reason that they got sued. It's got the rage tail style flappers to make them go like this. That
on a D bomb. That's what it looks like. It's got all the little slits and shit all the way down it, like all thick and.
It's like a D-bomb style in a rage bug shape. Kind of, yeah. So it's very, it's very kind of, and I've heard they're good. I've never fished one. I refuse to. I think, what's his face? What's that dude's name?
I've said on the show multiple times that
Bassin.
Guggen is not even allowed on my boat. It's not allowed in the studio.
What's that?
It's not allowed here.
What is that dude's name that like started Guggen?
AP Bassin, right?
Not his
John
real
B.
name. Is it John B?
Wasn't
Is
John
that the,
Rob?
Rob Turquoise? Yes, Rob Turquoise is a giant tool in my opinion.
Not the
And-
band. Not the band.
He
No,
has
the
sex
band
with
is
hot
great.
women.
He may.
Act, does he?
He may. He'd probably, and he's rich, and he's very. Don't get me wrong, he is very, very, a very, very successful business person.
Yes.
He is great at marketing, and he has made a lot of money doing that. He has ran a very successful business up until now. Like I don't know what their state is now, so I don't want to speak. Like I don't follow it, but I
Yep,
just,
100%, Jim.
I think he's a
and then they
douchebag.
took everybody's design to make baits.
I just
just
think
made it in a cheaper model through freaking plastic.
if you
molds.
anybody who's ever heard him on an interview, he is the most arrogant person I've ever listened to in my life, and I don't like it. I've never met the dude.
Matt Downs built a boat for him,
I've never met the dude, but I don't like him.
and that boat is sick.
Well, it's because Matt built it.
Well, yeah, he builds the best John boats in the world.
Matt does build
Trick tins,
the
baby. Trick
best.
tins, baby. So,
Google was basically a media company, started company. They got popular from bullshit Facebook, YouTube videos. Let's get it right. It was a media ploy that went viral. Well, yeah, kind of. They found a market, and
It was like every 12-year-old that had a YouTube fishing channel.
they figured out how
basically,
to abuse the algorithm based on how they and Rob Turkle has talked about this. Like it's all based on how you title the videos, the format of the videos, and the length of the videos. Right? He learned. He did that. He did it well. He was very successful. He's got a crap ton of money, more money than I will ever have in my life. Good for him. Doesn't make you a good person. Very successful doesn't make you a good person.
Yeah, but being a good person
still be an
doesn't buy
asshole.
you a fucking loaded ass bass boat either.
You know what does? I got a loaded ass bass boat sitting in my driveway, brand new.
That's true. So I guess you win because you're a good person and have a loaded ass bass boat.
No, I'm a dickhead,
Oh, well, so he doesn't win, I guess.
but I try to be a good person.
do you guys have anything more that you want to add to tonight's podcast?
I'm
They
good.
buy Chinese baits, repackage them that have some kids shoot videos, and it went crazy with the. And they actually created that before they made the bait company. So the Guggen Squad actually existed prior to the bait. The baits came later.
Yeah, the Guggen Squad was those YouTubers. It was like John B, one rod, one reel. Lake Fork guy got in on it at the end, and then
One rod actually came in later.
He did come in later. Okay,
He wasn't there at the beginning.
because he's a local guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Apparently, he got beat up, beat for blowing people's spots up on Loch Raven. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it. I did hear that he got jumped one day in a parking lot.
That's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
Like I get it. Like I don't want people blowing up my spots either. But like,
Yeah, but
I'm
that's the next level.
I'm not gonna commit assault because of it.
Right. That's a conversation that may get elevated. I may call you an asshole, but like to throw punches over you put your fishing spot on my YouTube video. Oh my god! Like no, dude. Like
Right.
what the fuck?
Like when it comes down to it, it's public water.
Right.
Like it's not my water. It's not my spot. You know, I might get mad at you if you like followed, and this is something that actually happened with somebody that I know. But if you know that I've been catching good fish and you wait for me to leave one area to follow me to the area that you think I'm going to, that I was catching big fish in, to see where it was, you're an asshole. Mm-hmm. And punches weren't thrown, but lots of harsh words were said. But like that's just not a good, like that goes back to what we talked about earlier with ethics. Like that's just shit you don't do.
Right.
Like go out and figure shit out yourself. Don't just go follow people
So
around.
just go get some bandito bugs and
You need some bandito bugs.
Figure it out.
I need them eat me frogs
right, and then you'll be
you're
good.
set.
Catch 20 pounds on YouTube and
out of a pond.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely.
That being said, we are logging out for the night, boys.
Yeah, we've been on for a while. Damn.
Happy 4th of July. America is the best country in the world.
I forgot we started at 7.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we've been on here for